but he's not the win condition. That's what Watson is for on this team.
Yeah, and that's exactly how you build. You want some sort of like solid foundation to your team where like you have these guys that can pop off given the right positions, given the right roles. They can be the guy to win you the game. But when they're not put in that position and they're not able to do that, they're still stable and the team functions without that. And I think that's really what makes him so valuable for Yandex. Look at all the heroes he's played this tournament. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a huge degree of flexibility there. And I think like that is a big stylistic difference between the teams. Is I think Yandex is channeling a lot of their stuff towards Watson. They are more focused on the carry team, whereas we've mentioned it before, Vision, they may have the carry of the year or of the past 2 years in Satanic, but I think it's not all about him. And we've seen their best results when it's not about him, when it's about all three of the cores combined, no one is highlighted or noticed. And I think that is sort of a difference between the teams, and it'll be really interesting to see how that actually manifests in game.
But no one's got that veteran status. We saw that pop up on the graphic just now, 7 TI attendances. This could be his first win. I mean, he's just been so good throughout the year. And we've talked about him time and time again. It's so impressive that he went from the best mid laner in the world to kind of falling off to kind of okay to bad to being the best in the world again.
Yep.
And he's also talked about his growth as a person too. And I feel like that's where a lot of players can start to feel themselves excel a little bit more. When you're here for the journey, when you're here to take in every moment, when you're here to realize you've made it to a top 3 of a TI, that you could potentially be making it to a grand final.
Team Vision versus Team Yandex. Game 1.
Now, it all starts with a good draft. That's what everyone knows when it comes to competitive Dota. And we do have our Game 1 draft coming up on our screen very soon. It's going to be Vision having the first pick. So pivotal for these teams. You want to be able to open up with a strong foundation, but more often than not, we've seen what that foundation look like change. Some teams love it to be a support, and others want it to be a strong core that could potentially be flexed.
Yeah, both approaches, I think, have their pros and cons. A lot of it depends on how these bans go. And I think we've also seen both of these teams shift their priority decent amounts, especially Vision. The hero that they first picked is quite hard to predict. We saw Willow first picked, a Shadow Fiend, Nature's Prophet. Like they are willing to pick a lot of different things. And so it's honestly hard to call.
Yeah, I think they want to look at a Lone Druid this game. It's a hero that fell out of popularity, but if you look at their bans alone with the Wyvern gone, with the Enigma gone, it could be a sneaky hero that pops up later in the draft.
I think I like Vision the most when they start the drafts with something very defining. Like we saw them pick Willow the other day on first pick, and I think that was probably, from my experience of watching them, the weakest first pick I've seen from them. When they've dropped like a hero that actually sets the pace for the draft, that's when I think they've looked the best. And Lone Druid, you know, he sets the tone. There's this very specific way you need to play against him. If you want to beat this hero, you're going to have to bring heroes to his lane and try to kill him early on. Otherwise, he's going to absolutely demolish your offlane.
Yeah, I think this also illuminates the Enigma ban. It's a hero that we haven't really seen them ban, or many people banning its Yandex early on in the draft, but I think that is why it was banned here. It's a hero that they prioritize very heavily against Lone Druid. It gives you a chance to fight him in the lane. You've got 2 units, well, I've got 4 units when you spawn the other ones, and even more when they multiply, and we've seen them use it to pretty good success against Lone Druid in the past, so it's sort of a setup ban saying, hey, we're calling your bluff. If you don't ban this, we are going to prioritize it, and you need to have another answer.
Satanic, to me, has been the most, if not the second most impressive Lone Druid in this tournament. A lot of teams in the group stage tried their hand at it, and it didn't look so good, but Yatoro and Satanic had pop-up games on this hero and made it seem like a main stage menace. It just changes the way that you want to draft, it changes the way that you want to play, and it's going to put Yandex in an uncomfortable position.
I feel like...
So I just want to quickly mention that Yandex do have a very good track record against Lone Druid, though. They consistently beat this hero at EWC. They were the one team letting it go and just drafting to beat it.
Yeah, I do think Vision is one of those teams that they thrive off of having pressure. Like, if they have 3 pressure lanes, then that's when they feel impossible to play against, because you have some of the strongest core players in the world, and you're being attacked everywhere, and you can't do this game where you can bring numbers to one side, because there's so much pressure happening all over the map. So for that reason, Lone Druid fits perfectly into their playstyle.
Yeah, it's a disgusting hero in lane. He walks past the wave and he just hits you relentlessly. He keeps rooting you over and over again. And so I think a key part of how you fight back in those lanes is you have to be able to fight back. There's no hiding. There's no, honestly, even really pulling waves that much. And so I think that's why they picked the Hoodwink. They want something that can come into the lane and battle. We saw the Hoodwink Underlord fight against IO Necrophos the other day for Yandex and did very, very well. And I think they'll look for something similar, a Centaur Hoodwink or some lane that says, we're not going to just give you the free lane. We're actually going to bring the punch to you a little bit. Look for gate rotations and you don't give this guy that free pressure you're talking about.
And in order to get those rotations, I think it's important to have crowd control in your lane, right? You need to be able to buy enough time for your heroes to connect. So having like stuns on the lane sets that up for your team. Even though maybe like Centaur doesn't do super well on his own, it provides the opportunity for supports to come in through the gate or the mid laner to rotate over and set up that play that way.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And I think this makes a lot of sense. It's the combo I've seen them do the best with against the Lone Druid outside of the Enigma. And they really, really love the Hoodwink against it. So even though Vision sort of set up for this, it's interesting because I think Yandex is also okay with it. Like it wasn't, I don't think this is a surprise. They considered it as a possibility, especially when you see the Enigma. These bans, they trigger matchup knowledge in your head and you think, okay, now this is a possibility.
And just to backtrack a little bit in terms of Yandex's history versus Lone Druid, so at EWC, they were the only team that were willing to let it through, or one of two teams, and they beat it consistently against everybody except Team Vision. Like they lost in the third game of their series that dropped them to third place at EWC to it. But they didn't have the heroes that they were beating it with all of the time. They mostly beat it with Slardar plus Lina or Slardar plus ranged carry, and versus Vision, they didn't do that. So maybe we could see that come up again. Lina's still in the pool.
This hero feels like a potential Ducalis classic. We talked about how 9 class came up playing this hero, but I think the last time I saw Vision play this hero, it was played by Ducalis, and they did this really cool thing where they just placed a bunch of mines all around the gates. And modern Dota functions so much around abusing the gates to make the map small. Essentially, it connects the two side lanes to each other and changes the way the map flows. Usually you were forced to play through mid because that was the connecting point between all the sides of the map. And when you play with techies, he kind of removes your ability to gate. So it's an interesting dynamic shift in the game, and you have to suddenly play the game so totally differently when he's here.
Yeah, it's a great point, and I think because the hero's not picked that frequently, it's hard to actually adapt to that, and it can mess with you in more ways than you might expect. Suddenly, you move in a certain way naturally. You push a wave, and you just walk in a certain direction because your intuition tells you to do so. You're not thinking about the direction you're moving, and now suddenly those mines are there, and that's going, oh, now you have to walk back the other way, and you're burning time here and there, and that adds up and can make the game feel very weird because your teammates are not in places you expect them to be in.
It does seem like if we were going down the route for Yandex where they take range damage versus the Lone Druid, it's one of the better things to play against techies though. Like if you have a means to kill heroes from a distance, like with the Hoodwink Sharpshooter plus a Lina or a Drow coming out with this Undying, it can be a way to throw the wrench into the techies.
Yeah, great call on the Lina. I mean, it's a classic. Undying Lina. It's the melee blob guy plus the range turret. You've got a really strong secure lane and a shield for Lina, and it's a hero that Watson absolutely loves. Even when this hero wasn't good, he would pick this hero all the time. It's just one of his favorites.
They stole the Slardar. This was their combo for Yandex. I think this is a very cool and heads-up thing, and it shows how the teams have a history of learning from each other and respecting each other. Because while we did see Vision play Slardar mid 1 or 2 times this TI, it hasn't been their go-to.
I also feel like we've seen Lone Druids kind of fall off as the games have progressed sometimes, where it really struggles to connect to the team fights and like actually have impact, and eventually just turns into this like split pushing hero. But when you add amplified damage, you kind of shift that dynamic, and you're giving him like a steroid that's going to make him so much stronger in the fight.
Yeah. Lina wants to see you coming and hit you the whole way you're running to her, and so that you don't actually get the chance to hit her because you're dead before you get there. But Lone Druid can buy a Blink Dagger, Slardar is going to buy a Blink Dagger, and now you've got these double assassins that can try to kill you so fast that you can't get Tombstone saved or Centaur Ag saved. And so there's a dynamic at play there where Watson has to be really careful of not getting insta-bursted because he will be the priority.
I also feel like Lina doesn't naturally buy any armor items. There
Yeah.
isn't really... She's not like a generally... like very obvious AC hero. She's not a really obvious Shiva's hero, so there's also that element to it.
We're operating under the assumption that this is a Watson Lina, but it very well could just go mid. This doesn't have to be the case, and it seems like Vision are accounting for that. They're covering their bases. They're taking out Watson's Wind Ranger that he completely popped off on 2 days ago, which is pretty heads up.
It is. It's good to consider these things, and I think it's also interesting to mention that both teams still have a ton of reserve time. We've seen a few of the teams that have been eliminated already burning through tons of the reserve time before they even get to the last pick, but these teams know what they want. They've done their prep. To me, this is very logical, very quick, solid thinking, which is why they have so much time to really consider things. And even if you know what your pick is going into the last pick, you can sit there and think about, okay, what are we going to do on lanes? How are we going to rotate? All these little things, you have extra time for that you've saved by not burning it earlier on in the draft.
I also
I love how Slark has become a last ban because if Ember comes out, you have to think about it. Insania.
It's also an interesting idea of like you ban the Slark, so now maybe Yandex has this idea we're going to ban Earth Spirit plus something else, and now you have to reconsider because it's like they want Ember. Do we want to ban the Ember or not? So it can kind of throw you off of whatever path you're on already, and I think this is something that like Puppy likes to do a lot, where he kind of challenges the ideas that you come into the series with, and he presents you with something that you didn't really expect.
Yeah, whenever both the last picks are also mid-heroes, there's a funny mini-game where you're considering, if we ban this, then they want this, they might ban this. And so you run through these possibilities of, if all these heroes get knocked out, okay, I pick this. What counters are remaining? And at the end of that pipeline, they think it's Pangolier that is the hero that doesn't have great responses. And I mean, I can see the rationale there, and it's a hero that no one is also very comfortable on. And Coddle helps this hero a ton, because it means you don't have mana problems anymore. It's one of this hero's biggest issues, and what slows down his farm is that they've just nerfed the mana cost of his spells, but with Coddle, you've got more mana, so you can farm way faster and get to that Diffu at a crazy timing.
There's also something we always have to mention when it's there. There's a lot of minus armor and a lot of synergy between those spells. So this Lone Druid even further gets amplified by the Pangolier being there. So a lot of physical damage coming out from Team Vision.
I do think this will most likely be a no-one Pango just because he's so comfortable on this combination with Coddle, but I think something cool that Team Vision did in their draft was they made it so that their last pick mid was also flexible to the offlane. In case there's some abysmal matchup that comes out, you can always throw Slardar mid and have Notice play Pango. He's done this before. And this is a really cool thing to do when you're responding to a last pick draft.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely very solid, and I think Vision is happy with what they got. The NX still have the choice of where they put the Lina, and I'm not exactly sure. I think both things are valid. It is a little bit weird in that you have Undying, and Undying wants a ranged hero in his lane. So if you put Lina mid, you're sort of compelled to pick another ranged hero in a lot of instances, which then means, okay, we've got double turret. We've talked about that before. It puts a lot of strain on your draft and a lot of pressure on your Centaur to be the one guy who can go in and start things.
And the heroes that kind of can fill that second turret role, like I think both Nature's Prophet functions a little bit different than something like a Drow Ranger or an SF or something like that. And Wind Ranger, I would say, falls into the same category. Both have been banned out. So I think for me, I'm leaning more towards the Lina safe lane, but Watson seems to be talking, so...
Is Muerta a dead hero? Because typically she's a really good... Okay, Terrorblade. Because she used to be good against all these physical damage lineups, but so is TB with his very high armor.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like... So Vision, they were amping up the physical damage, right? And Lina kind of, as we mentioned, doesn't really have any nice ways to deal with that kind of situation. And Yandex also mentioned before, they really are all about Watson. So this is their way of doing it. They decide like, okay, you know what? This Lina is going to have a tough time carrying this game and staying alive. So you know what, CJ? It's time for you to tank it. And we're going to pick TB for Watson, which ultimately has like, he's going to be the raid boss in this game.
Yeah. I think they're asserting lane dominance for Yandex because this Lina versus Pangolier lane sucks for Pango. Like, you have to play extremely well to even do okay in this. And because of that, I think the Terrorblade will have a good lane against Slardar. So you're looking for early towers being taken and early map pressure, because if you don't get that, well, suddenly there's a Slardar blinking on you and a Pango blinking on you. And these squishy dudes who don't buy armor, like you mentioned earlier, they will explode.
I really like this last pick from Yandex. I think the physical damage becomes negated, and Terrorblade's a hero that stands its ground and fights from a distance. So in a sense, he's not really scared versus the techies. And because he stands his ground, if Slardar blinks on him and they don't burst him, he's just going to Sunder and be able to stand there and fight, which also counters Coddle, who wants to Solar Bind your primary target. He wants to make it so that he can't win the fight for you, and it's a really good pick in this position.
Is there an answer to the Lone Druid as well? Because we always have to come back full circle. That's what they opened their draft with on the side of Vision. That's their foundation, and that's what they would love to be able to win through. But is there enough of an answer on the side of Yandex?
I feel like they're trying to create a scenario where this TB is going to outscale the Lone Druid, and that's what they're trying to play for. And I would say it's absolutely possible. So yeah, I see it.
All right, we see the avenues in which both teams could potentially get a Game 1 win for themselves, but someone who hopefully gives you a little bit more confidence for all the Vision fans out there is going to be Puppy, who's joined with Tsunami.
That's right, I'm standing by with Puppy of Vision. Now, as the man who has attended 12 different TIs, I was hoping to get a little bit of a history lesson. How do you think people are going to remember this TI's meta? As TI3 was like Rat Dota, TI4 Deathball, 2022 was Auras. What's this TI about?
I mean, like last TI. It's about team fights. Very similar to when Team Spirit first won their TI. It's just a lot about team fights, engagements, and just a lot of, 5 men.
So then in terms of how the tournament has evolved since group stage to now this late in the tournament. I know that a lot of teams had eyes on you, and you were maybe defining a bit of the meta in terms of your heroes and picks. Can you see that still, or have the imitators kind of fallen behind and the teams that remain are the ones that had their own ideas?
No, I think everybody started realizing that a little bit of split push is always good to have. And as you can see, like in these games, we have Lone Druid, they have Terrorblade, they have some Centaur Dominator, we have some Coddle pushing waves from afar. So it is true that people are getting the concept of what's actually going on.
And then for this opponent specifically with Yandex, what do you think is so unique about this team that's allowed them to get this far in the tournament so far?
I think, in my opinion, they were the ones doing this stuff first in the whole year. And they were always kind of like figuring out the meta, how to split push the enemies. They're lovers of Invoker, they're lovers of Naga, Terrorblades, and they know how to like make the map huge for themselves. So, you know, they are the pioneers this year at least, and we learn from them too.
And what's your signature, would you say, over this year?
I think we enjoy team fighting a lot more than they do. So we add both flavors.
Let's see if your team fight superiority gets you the win. Good luck, Puppy, as we get into game number 1.
Thank you very much there, Puppy and Tsunami. Yeah, time for the upper bracket final here between Vision and Yandex. And as sort of Puppy alluded to in terms of their strats, Yandex, earlier in the season, they were the first to sort of start...
Bit of a dictator.
...doing the new stuff, you know, starting to sort of set the meta. They looked a bit shaky in the group stage, but now here on the main event, they're seeming to be back at that top level. The question is it high enough of a level to secure that first spot in the grand finals and take that opportunity away from Team Vision, knocking them down to the lower bracket? Have they got back to that point, Fox?
I mean, that's got to be the question, right? Is it going to be big enough to be able to deal with Vision, which not many teams have been able to deal with them. They have been such a powerhouse in terms of pressure, in terms of team fight, and I'm so glad Puppy did say it, right? I'm obsessed with team fight currently this patch, and looking at it, I think we're in for a pretty decent treat. You could see Vision having maybe a slight edge in some of these team fights because they've got this strong Pango and all this, but Yandex, kind of, like, they also have strong team fight too in particular, but it's a lot revolving around this Pango. That's one of the big ones that I'm going to be looking at, how his lanes ends up going versus Chira. Because if Chira ends up having not that big success in the mid lane, I have some worries for the Lina. Because Watson, we did see yesterday him playing the Terrorblade. This hero's strong, don't get me wrong, and it's good versus this matchup, versus this physical damage, but there's also other amplification that comes in. Techie's amp, Solar Bind. There is other ways of being able to bring him down early. So curious to see if Watson's going to be able to be that full solo carry, because it does look like the scaling could get a little hard, but we'll see.
Because overall, how would you say things look for both of the carries? Because both picked in very different positions, right? We had the Lone Druid coming out for Satanic as the first pick of the draft, whereas on the side of Yandex, Watson was able to save that TB for last pick.
He got his pick of the litter, right? He sees, okay, they're going for a semi-minus armor draft, right, with the Pango, with the Slardar, and he is getting to see his lane immediately as this Terrorblade playing versus that Slardar, so he does have a bigger benefit, but I'm not sure how well the address Lone Druid is going to be, because so many times I've seen Satanic when he plays this hero, even if it gets addressed a lot, he ends up having a really good game. So curious to see if it's going to be enough in this game, since he does have the backup of maybe not the most ordinary support, but to call this with the techies, it's a hero that just prevents you from getting aggressive onto a carry at times. The taser, you know, blast off, it always ends up being that kind of protective hero, but also a very good aggressive hero. So let's see how the lane goes. I think this top lane for Yandex has been so important for them so many games. How much Saksa can do. Have to say his name probably 100 times in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's the one to watch.
We saw the other day, right? Again, just the first 10 minutes of play, you can expect big stuff from Saksa. And if it's not there, you know that the opponent, in this case Vision, will have done a hell of a lot to stop this Saksa hoodwink being able to make those sort of early plays.
I'm just going to be looking at top lane for the start of things here, right? Because, like you said, Saksa has been so instrumental, not just what he's able to get, but how much he sets up for DM to have a good game. And DM's been having some really solid ones for the team. And yeah, let's see how this lane ends up going down. Saksa just continuing to just harass Satanic. Does have to be a little careful with his positioning not to get rooted. He should be just fine. Yeah, let's see how this mid matchup goes. Chira should have an advantage versus No One in particular, but looking at No One too, the Pango, I'm glad we're getting to see this one a bit more because the win rate has been insane, and he's got a Coddle, which is one of the best combos.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, roll back kind of a few months, that would have been a combo that wasn't being let through the draft a lot of the times, and maybe the fact that Pango in a...
Oh!
He's going to be all right, only just. He's out for tangos, so we'll be sitting pretty low. We'll see what coming out in the courier. He does have the bottle on the way. And we'll have to make sure he doesn't get clipped by another Dragon Slave. But yeah, maybe the fact that Pango's sort of been forgotten in a lot of the drafts that we've seen has sort of just benefits it in this sort of situation. That you're actually able to get it through with such a strong kind of 1-2 combo with the call.
Malady getting low here. There's another bash. Illuminate won't connect. He's sticking on him. Got another crush.
And a decay. The crush. I mean, Malady will get the tombstone off.
First blood.
Yeah, they'll get it, but Watson will be able to make sure they get the trade, taking notice down in return.
You take that as the Slardar there. You're in a matchup where you're playing versus a Terrorblade Undying. This is like a double counter pick versus the Slardar. His CS is looking rough, so he just like, screw it, I'm committing for the kill. So you'll take that all day on notice. Watson also will say the same though. He'll be, good job, I got a kill return, but I think the Slardar is quite happy because this lane can be tough.
Now Watson, of course, being left pretty low, just down to the last tango. Very far on 1 charges.
A lot of good chakra combos. Have to mention the Slardar as well, too, right? 9 class can do quite a bit here. These blasts are connecting.
They're adding up.
Watson is starting to get a bit low here. Doesn't have Soul Rip. Does he have extra regen coming? He doesn't.
No, that was the last tango he had.
That actually is going to be very dangerous for Watson now. Notice is going to be able to free farm perhaps in these next few waves because of it.
I mean, if you get caught in a crush of the blast, it's going to be pretty painful for Watson.
Mid matchup, we're seeing that disparity. Chira is playing it very nicely here, shutting down no one, getting these extra denies as well, as he needs to in the matchup.
Bottom, was in the crush, into the blast, not quite enough. He's got the 1 charges, but continuing to just sit on incredibly low HP down on this bottom lane, Watson. He is not having a fun time.
I hope he does have a salve coming out. He really does need it to be able to reset that HP. But noticed, after getting first blood, he'll be able to get this extra CS secured for him. Doing a good job down there.
Already seeing signs of the 2 supports of Team Vision being suitably annoying.
Oh, yeah.
9 class down here on the Cottle blasting away, and the same's going to be said obviously for Dakalis on the top on his techies. 2 supports that you don't want to mess around with.
Again, Malady, he's got the tombstone.
See if he can survive. Looks like Notice doesn't want to try and chase underneath the tombstone to finish Malady off. Respects the fact that Malady is holding the stick charges.
9 class really wants to try to commit for the tombstone to kill it, but has to be careful himself for a second. Now he's actually going for the blast onto Malady.
Malady's going to be able to chase him off pretty safely. Can't really line up another blast, even if he did. Unlikely to hit.
Watson!
Malady makes a mistake, but maybe indeed Watson's going to be the one to take the hit. No, not quite. Angle's not there. They're able to dodge it.
They're doing some decent work down here. These blasts are very annoying. Seeing more people go for this skill build on the Coddle recently, at first people were just always skilling the Blinding Light, but in this lane matchup can absolutely see the reasoning to just go for this Illuminate with the stuns.
Honestly, gotta say though, considering how much Watson and Malady are having to dance around, look at the CS.
Good. Yeah.
16 and 8 on the Terrorblade. The amount of pressure that's being put onto Watson, it's high. They're trying their best, Vision, but they're not massively slowing him down. He's keeping his cool throughout it, still able to find the CS.
But it's a lane where he should be, like, on paper, right? This is the design to have total free farm. So the fact that they're doing this is pretty big. 9 class gets the catch there, of course, onto the Undying. We'll be able to get the D ward as well. And looking on the flip side, too, right? Satanic, he is getting the free. So it is that 25-8. They're not able to pressure him as much with the Centaur and the Hoodwink just yet.
But that mid lane.
Look
at the CS.
Chira's playing it beautiful.
Yeah, this is a painful laning stage for no one. But not necessarily a surprise, or
not a surprise.
Even to this extent, you're still kind of signing up for this.
Maybe he could have a couple more CS on the Pango, but this is to be expected. I think these Linas have just shown they can dominate. But the Lina is not the safest in this hero, as we were mentioning. She could be super fragile. Yes, you could be, speedy and all this, but there's so much damage that's coming out from Vision that Chira is going to have to be careful in the mid game of his positioning. It has to be perfect. He's got saves, he's got Stampede, he's got the Tombstone eventually, but in the early game before those come out...
It's going to take a lot of damage here. The Tombstone's down as well as the Blood Grenade.
Bushwhack.
It's going to connect. Saxa, he don't miss. Yandex bringing in the numbers mid and ensuring that Chira Jr. around that Laguna Blade take him down. The blast not enough to finish Chira Jr. Will lose his courier to 9 class.
He's got another blast. Is he going to get this connection?
I mean, that would be pretty crazy.
No way. It hits him.
Oh,
what?
All right, 9 class.
All right.
Quite the moves there. He's been annoying down bottom lane, and now he's come over to mid, and he's only just gone and helped take out Chira Jr., who was having a fantastic time in the lane.
You want to have a little fun one? Look at the net worth right now. 9 class is ahead of his Pango now because of these 2 kills that he's been able to find.
And honestly, not the worst support hero to have this sort of boosted net worth on, right? A Cottle, there's a reason why we see Cottle Core as well sometimes. This hero can do a lot with the money.
He can do an absurd amount with this Holy Locket for sure.
Yep.
It's crazy how much potential you have. And as you said, has great chakra targets in this game. And all this meantime, too, the Undying had left the bottom lane. Notice is able to get that extra farm. He's matching the farm as a Slardar versus the TB lane and Undying. So very good start here for the side of Vision. But Lina, as we see Chira still at the top. All right. Yeah, we all love to see this.
Gonna do the classic bear things here around the Wisdom.
Yep. And this is because, I was actually just speaking with Arteezy in the backstage too about this, but this is because he's won his lane. He's able to just play, farm, send the Baron, has no threat right now since they have to back up to go for that Wisdom. Pretty even on the numbers though here, but it is this Pango, right? No one. Very tough entry into the game. He's gonna need some help.
I mean, where's that help gonna come from?
9 class.
Just 9 class being constantly ready to swing over to mid, throw out a few blasts.
It's like chakras, blast, and then it's just stacks, right? If they can get some of these stacks in order for him, that can also be really nice. Of course, Cottle being one of the best ones to be able to set up those stacks for something like the Pango. So I'd like to see some stacks being formed from Vision to get no one back into this.
Saxon. Nice on the mid again. He's going to swashbuckle forward straight away. They come in with the burst of the Laguna. No one is dead again.
Jira, another connection. Won't get the haste rune.
9 class will be able to get away, but the pain and suffering continuing for no one here in this mid lane on the Pango.
There's going to be very early boots of travel here for Chira to get involved around the map. And the tower, too.
It's going to be gone here. 8 minutes in.
Kyle is trying for the deny.
They know he's there. Ooh, nearly gets it, but
wow,
I think rolls a little low there on the right click.
0 damage.
That tower gone. Mid lane. Couldn't be going any better, really, there for Chira Jr. And to do exactly what he'd hoped to against this Pango.
When you get an early tower like this too, when you're pretty much a hero that's behind, you can start contesting those potential stacks as well too. You know that they're probably going to start forming those. Malady walks into triangle, puts a sentry down to block some of the counts and check something out. Is going to get instantly dewarded, but they are aware of the move that Vision is doing. Great preparation here from Yandex. Double bounty rune now too. Saksa is going to be able to steal these away. That is essentially the boots of travel finished up here for Chira Jr.
Very, very fast timings. That only sort of hiccup being caught by that Illuminate from 9 class. Outside of that, it's been an easy start for Chira Jr. Mid lane. Malady tries to pick up some XP. They'll have the 3 of them here, and I tell you what, they won't have the burst even with the 3 of them.
9 class going for Tombstone. Might get the last hit. He will. Didn't want to commit for any type of kill. No one does not want to die again at this point in the game. He's trying to catch back up. The bear looks like it will be just fine.
Yeah, they don't want to chase it too much here, even with Chira Jr. He'll return back over the mid lane. Get that. Bots TP'd out to him.
That's a clever move here from Vision. Instead of farming on their side here, they're playing in a more aggressive, unexpected position. 9 class now his level 6. Pretty early that he does have the Spirit Form available for the Solar Bind. Could look to get aggressive in enemies' lanes. Stampede is available though, so DM, he has the bailout if they do get caught here. And the Bear, gotta be able to kill it.
I mean, some nice little moves there from Sax. Was coming in with the body blocks to make sure that the Bear was held in position long enough to buy time for Chira Jr. to swing over and get involved with taking the Bear down.
Chira's gonna be so farmed this game. If he continues at this trajectory.
And that's scary, because this is a Lina. And Lina quite the hero right now at this international.
And he has heroes to be able to go in first for him, right? He has the Centaur, has the Undying. Maybe not the overall craziest amount of initiations, not multiple different ones, but the Centaur usually ends up being enough in a lot of situations with that plus the Stampede.
And the scaling of this mid laner and safe lane Terrorblade feels pretty good if you get away with this early game, and they certainly are. 10 minutes in, they've already taken 2 tier 1s out. And as we see, you know, Chira Jr. in that top spot on the net worth, no one having to still do his best to try and catch back up.
He's pretty much playing off lane from the mid lane now at this point on the side of no one, which is kind of good for them this game because Noticed is kind of playing the mid, right, from the off lane. He's going to have this super early timing for his Blink Dagger on the Slardar to look to accelerate things. And the Lina can be vulnerable. That's going to be the main thing for Chira, is protecting him when the Slardar Blink Dagger does come out to keep him rolling like this. A 2K lead now for the side of Yandex in this early game.
Vision, at the least, have been able to keep Satanic out of the danger. He's now outside of losing that tier 1 tower in his safe lane. Still able to farm pretty safely without any threat to his own life.
He's got the Maelstrom done, so his timings will start to accelerate. But Watson also, now at this point, is starting to accelerate himself.
Titanic.
These two early towers are very important for Yandex to continue this pressure, to continue shutting down Vision's early game. The fact that DM was also able to get that top one is important.
Notice with these creeps, he'll have. So would you imagine this Blink Dagger comes out, they're straight away looking to make moves?
Oh yeah, definitely going to look to be aggressive with this one. He didn't even go like the Soul Ring first.
No, he rushed.
Usually we do see some Soul Rings picked up and then they look to play around with afterwards, go for that Blink, but I think he is going to look to make moves, make some space here for No One.
I mean, yeah, he's going to know that mid was a bit of a tough situation for No One, so Notice knows there's going to be this sort of section of the game where he's going to have to step up and sort of make the moves that No One can't at the moment.
Nine class is still very high level, though. Something that we do have to keep pointing out. He's almost level 8 on this Coddle. His Holy Locket is pretty much finished up, too, so can be a big difference maker in these early engagements. And here comes the smoke. I'm really happy that Notice didn't go for the Soul Ring this game first. He has a Coddle. You don't need the mana as well. So you don't want to be able to, you don't want to slow the pace of the game down.
Yeah, you can go back for it, but right now, right here, they need this Blink Dagger timing, and they need something big with it to sort of shake up what's been, for the most part, a pretty smooth early game for Yandex, getting the objectives that they'd hoped for. That beat's going to come out, and that Blink reveal is not going to get them too much. DM's fine, able to run away.
Malady, can he play his ways out? He's got Tombstone.
It's a bit messy now from Vision. They have to start backing off because Watson's turned up with a Metamorphosis. They're going to look towards Dakalis here, Yandex, as he'll lay down the mines. Won't matter. He's going to fall. No One does TPM with the Swashbuckle. Looks towards Malady. Will get the trade.
But No One. He's just dead.
Destroyed by the Metamorphosis right clicks of Watson. So
I love that move from Watson.
And that move there from Vision around the Blink Dagger of the Slardar goes horribly wrong. They don't get anything with it, and they end up losing 2 heroes themselves, and not just to anybody, but to the enemy carry, to Watson on the Terrorblade.
Great responses. Yandex looked super prepared for this move. Don't get the connection. It's a hard one to really get on the Centaur as well, too, so just ends up naturally making the rotation to the tier 1s. But Watson, I love that move that he does. Gets involved. Something you don't see a lot of Terrorblades do, but Watson, he always gets involved early, I feel like, when he plays with Vision heroes.
No, he knows his strength, and he knows if the meta's up and there's some action going on around the Twin Gate, he'll be there.
Very strong at this point. Getting another kill into No One mid lane. Saksa will go down. No One will get a kill for himself.
That puts the pressure onto the tier 1 tower themselves there, Vision.
This is a big rune. No One does find the amp damage. Stampede still on cooldown for about 15 seconds. DM getting into a more careful positioning. And like you said, now it's fine for Notice to go back for the Soul Ring. It's such an effective, efficient item. On the Slardar, we'll have that one finished up. And is continuing to beat on the mid tower. This is surprising that they're not reacting to Notice. Slardar being able to get, I think he got like 500 extra damage onto that tower there because nobody wanted to swing over for a moment.
Taxa and Chiro Jr. will turn up. Make sure that Team Vision don't get away with a full push in the mid.
So far, pretty solid here for Chira. Dies the once to that Illuminate, but besides that, having a great entry into this game. Level 12 has been hit.
They're ready to go here. Mine was laid down, though, so Will
might be aware.
Guess that there's something going on in terms of a movement from Yandex, so Vision should be careful. See how greedy Noticed is as he tempted for the wave. Hanging around a little bit, but as soon as he sees Malady, will be ready with the blink. So nothing to be found there with that smoke.
Most of the aggressive moves in this early game, until they do have the Centaur, until the Centaur wants to get involved, right? It's going to be revolving around Saksa getting a Bushwhack connection. Well, for Vision, I feel like their aggressive moves can be a little easier right now at this point.
They want to come in with a counter smoke. After they sort of read that move from Yandex, Vision, they want to try and punish. They're going to bring No One. They need to try and find some positive action for the Pango, and they might
right on
get
Watson.
it here. As they found Watson, he's going to turn, get a Sunder off to get him back up to full HP, but the blast off comes in from Ducalis. The mine stayed down. Stampede's there, though, to help.
Nice save.
Watson, he's out of there for now. No One's going to try and roll on forward to chase him down, but the Rolling Thunder comes to an end.
What a response.
Up the double. And Watson barely takes a scratch. They couldn't fully connect onto him. He's just able to Sunder and get stampeded out of the action. They take another tier 1 tower. They're 4K up. Vision, they're struggling to make moves. This is, I feel like we haven't seen Vision struggle like this in any of the games.
Their movements are getting read, and just the overall spell casting from Yandex is far superior. That quick Sunder was genius. Right? Some people would hesitate for it. Nope, again, no hesitation from Watson. Survives, team is there to back up. Instant responses. They are not hesitating on those responses. They want to take every fight.
TP's into this, but has to be a bit cautious. Watson's pretty terrifying.
And it's cool that they're doing this, right? On the side of Yandex, they know, okay, Satanic is not going to play. He is going to AFK farm on the side. If we bring the numbers, we're going to have this advantage a couple times here. So taking advantage of that nicely here and taking advantage of some missed spellcasting there from Vision. Not coordinated perfectly. They didn't have Notice connecting at the same time while the Pango comes in. Can't get that finish up onto Watson.
I mean, how strong is the Lone Druid in this overall sort of outlook of this game when you look at it against the lineup of Yandex? Is it strong enough that Vision can be like, well, doesn't matter if we make a few kind of rough moves, this Lone Druid is going to carry us, or is that not necessarily the case here?
I do think it still can. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
a pretty dirty game for the Lone Druid because he's got the Amplify. If he didn't have the, the Corrosive Haze from the Slardar or the Lucky Shot from the Pango that's going to come out later, perhaps I would say different, but he absolutely can sneak into the backlines, and something like Alina can just get evaporated, so
there
definitely
is
still
an element of space created throughout these kind of moves that are just miles away from the Lone Druid.
yeah, I mean, some. Of course, they wanted to get these connections with kills with the Slardar Blink reveal, but now it's 2 back-to-back ones that don't work. So now Vision maybe do slow down a little bit, let the plays come to them. Have to see how they want to react. No one does have a Blink Dagger himself, but he is so fragile, Owen. This is a 1200 HP Pango at this point versus this Lina Burst. You're seeing how quick he can just die.
Oh yeah, and it's going to get even easier, obviously, once Watson's got the Dragon Lance. Anytime he's able to put the Metamorphosis, stand his ground with the illusions, you can't be rolling anywhere close to him when you're sort of an item or so behind, still struggling to catch up as this Pango.
Right now, he's the strongest hero on the map for sure. Watson playing this, play this early game to utmost perfection. Continue to be on the aggressive frontier. Saksa scouting things out. DM, Lotus is finished. DM's just chilling. Chilling and farming. Gonna go back for a Blink Dagger this game now. Not a game where you go hard, of course, because you're playing, not at this point yet. Now he can after later, but you want to go for these armor items early this game since you're playing versus the Pango and the Slardar. 9 class. Looks like he's scouting. Does get the information of where the ward is with that. That was actually pretty smart.
Let's have Vision want to try.
Double Blink Daggers, so looking to get that connection, plus the Chakra.
They're going to go for the jump on DM. They are, but tell you what, he got the hoof stomp off, and that means he's going to be able to get the Lotus off and run away.
And now the turn.
Thunder. They'll turn towards Malady.
Oh, he's deep.
They'll bring Satanic over to get involved in this, and that will grant Satanic the kill. So a little bit of something for him to pick up.
How did Malady even get there? He was so deep forward. Vision, though, trying to get these connections multiple times now with the blinks. Sure, they'll get an Undying kill, but they really want to try to get a core kill to slow things down from the side of Yandex at the moment. They're not connecting.
I think the only core kill they've managed to get so far this game, Vision, being that one where 9 class was able to clip Chira Jr. with a blast in the mid lane. Outside of that, the cores of Yandex standing strong.
And now Yandex, it feels like it's easier for them to make aggressive moves themselves. Dukalis looking very dead. They have the Ags on Chira Jr. They have the Blink Dagger now on the Centaur, too. I feel like they can start ramping up the aggression themselves, too, rather than just having to react to these moves. Even though the reactions have been very successful for them, they can start to make their own elements of moves and maybe even hunt Satanic. Watson on the top side will be scouted.
Satanic. Still hoping that time is going to continue to be bought for him.
Now he can get involved. It's time for Satanic to start playing the game. Aghanims is done, but DM, as we said, his blink is finished, so Yandex now going to get on that aggressive posturing. Heroes can just die in an instant. Noticed, does get caught. Do they have a follow-up stun?
They do. Stampede to surround him. Nothing to be done to try and save him. No one was thinking about a roll. Thunder.
Scared to go into the full squad. Watson is there with meta.
That's the thing, right? He knows that if there's Terrorblades around, he can't really roll in.
Yandex, one step ahead, it feels like this game. Tower as well.
20 minutes in. One for tier 2 here.
Does Satanic want to get involved with the bear? He's just farming for the moment. Doesn't look like he wants to send that bear toward the mid lane. Meta, halfway expended.
Difficult to get them off the tower unless Satanic wants to get involved.
Niklaus is trying to get the blast from the angle, but too many illusions. This tower's dead.
Relatively early. And 21 minutes in, Watson able to finish the tier 2 mid.
He did warm up yesterday on that Terrorblade. He ended up not winning that game with it, but he was an absolute beast.
And it was a close one, and it was one that they nearly did win.
The bear being hunted, a blood grenade. It'll be able to sneak itself away. Now
That's it.
Malady.
He's going to go for the jump on Malady. Malady will be able to get himself into the tombstone. Looks like he's going to get left behind, though.
Did he deny the tombstone? I think he actually turned and denied it before dying. That's actually pretty heads up. Doesn't give that extra gold to them. Instantly respawn, so can't look.
They want more.
aggressive.
And
They want
try
more.
for it. Diving in between the tier 1 and tier 2. They get the jump onto DM. They've got the full chain control. They'll take the Centaur out. Chira Jr. though, lines at the light track onto the two of them with the Laguna. The pushback as well. Catches the both of them.
Chira?
Taking down no one, but notice he's in on top of Chira Jr. Is there anyone here to bail the leader out? There's not.
Now Malady potentially dead.
Bear on towards him. They'll not try and push it too much here, Vision. They're more than happy with what they got there. Sure, they lost no one, but no one's already having a tough game. The job's done, though. They get both DM and the big kill, getting Chira Jr.
This Stampede is...
Vision,
Oop,
notice,
another
you guys
catch.
gotta look for more. Gets the jump on a Malady, they get another.
Oh, they're
Vision.
starting to get the ball rolling.
They're finding their footing here now.
The Stampede seems to be the biggest answer for them, and during that whole entire situation, it was still on cooldown, so taking advantage of it perfectly, getting the double core kill, sandwiching. It looked nice from Chira. He does get the connection of the double stun to bring down no one, but Vision will take that all day. Satanic now able to get involved, gets himself a kill. He almost has that Shadow Blade finished up, and that's really the biggest scare for Yandex, is when the Lina can just start getting hunted even easier from just a bear hiding behind.
And yeah, the bear's going to be scary. Not that there was ever going to be any doubt when it's in the hands of Satanic. 0 deaths on him. And honestly, very, very few times that the bear itself's actually been fed. Satanic's been very careful with that.
But Watson going for stats, going for the Scotty again in this game. There is some healing that is going to be coming in, of course, from the Coddle, the slowdown also versus Slardar, and versus Pango is good. The stats, too. Going to be a strong pickup for him. Maybe goes for the Butterfly next, since he is playing versus these physical cores. Could be an option for him.
Yandex straight back out with the smoke. DM, Zaxa, ready to lead the charge. They've got Chira Jr. coming in to provide the burst right behind them.
Feels like every time Yandex, they have Stampede at the ready, they're in a very good position to either look for aggressive or defensive plays. But if Vision can bait the Stampede, they can always look for these aggressive plays and get these kills.
Yeah, because at this moment, outside of that, not the easiest way is to get this Lina out of the fight.
No, not yet. They have the Tombstone, of course, right? They do have that shard that was picked up from Malady, but gonna be quite some time until there's an Aghanims for the Centaur, so really is just that Stampede to bail him out at this point.
Panic. They're on the hunt.
Bottom.
Gonna find Zaxa. No one's in with the jump. Fuel Scepter will buy a little bit of time, but as soon as he's down, no one finishes the kill.
These next 5 minutes feel like the most dangerous time for the side of Yandex.
The map's
If they just start to hemorrhage these kills, it can get very scary for them. DM taking a big blast there. 9 class trying to force the Stampede. They might just be able to get the kill.
I mean, he's got to pop it. Stampede's there to help him get away.
And he disengaged.
I mean, Notice is going to be ready to chase him down. DM, he's got Malady by his side here with the Tombstone. It's a little bit more complicated for Vision if they want to try and push on for the kill, and they'll hold back.
Forcing a lot of reactions, though. Oh, in the meantime, Satanic's starting to get the push on bottom. Watson looking for the bear. Can't go for it.
This bear is going to be so annoying. We're seeing it already. Satanic really getting into the heads of Yandex. Not a lot they can do to really catch the bear. It keeps showing up and then disappearing, and they can't really react quick enough to ever kind of punish this sort of play. The power of the lone druid very much in show here.
And I would say overall, right, when you look at it, the bear a little, not like so much so, but more enabled than the Terrorblade is because of the minus armor with his draft in comparison to the TB. Yes, he's got control with his draft, but he doesn't have any of these buff ups just yet.
And it's just the kind of comparison between what both of these heroes do, right? The bear feels like it can be everywhere, whereas with the Terrorblade, you have to be so much more particular about when you want to turn up and get involved into the fight.
You have to be careful with your meta. You have to be careful with how you turn up. A lot of times, Bear can just resummon, send it again.
Go wherever he wants.
And Watson,
up and
so
down the
far,
map.
He's been very solid in this game.
He has.
But has to be very careful with these next upcoming moments, it feels.
It does just feel that much harder for him, even though this was sort of a situation where the carries were picked in such different parts of the draft. Watson getting the option to do this as the last pick. Absolutely possible with the Terrorblade, but it does feel like it's that much more difficult to execute the game plan perfectly as opposed to this lone druid who's been a pretty terrifying hero through and through the International.
No one, Aghanims is finished. So even more team fight potential. Satanic.
We'll get in the Tombstone. Might get out, but I think he's going to be in trouble on the way out. I mean, here's the back.
Watson.
Chase on the Watson, the bash as well. Watson is going to get out of this one. A third stone comes in, they blow him up. They've taken one Thompson down, and now underneath the tier 2, they're ready to dive over for Saxa. He'll try for the TP out. Have they got a way to stop it? They do. The fear comes in.
And now it's the Roshan too.
They had such a promising early game, but maybe the bear is just too much fogged.
The bear, the minus armor, the control, love the itemization too, right? Notice just rushes the BKB. Watson's like, I got nobody to go for a Sunder play here. It's just a bear, 2 heroes that are immune to that Sunder right on top of him.
And the save, of course, already being used on himself, Malady. Without that tombstone, they don't really have any other way to break Watson out of these chain stuns.
This was the most concerning time for them. This timing when the bear is able to get this Shadow Blade. Now he's got Silver Edge on top of him too with Yags. They're hunting. Chira's game has slowed down massively on this Lina now at this point. Is going back for some armor items. Feels like he needs it. Not the thing that we do see from most of these Linas nowadays, though. Usually they go for that full aggression. So this is already a pivot that perhaps he didn't want to have to do in this game, but something that's necessary versus all this minus armor.
No, I mean, because it's just one of those sort of situations in which when you pick the Lina, right, you just don't want to have to itemize for this because this is not where you want to play it. But as was mentioned in the draft, this was just sort of the sacrifice Chira Jr. was going to have to make in the overall game plan to sort of make the other bits of Yandex's lineup work.
Oh, and 9 class, have to mention him. He is having an insane game right now. Look at how he's creeping on the network. He's going to have a Hex pretty quick in this game as well. Pretty devastating. Yandex, they need to break this type of these movements somehow. They're going to go for a smoke themselves.
All right.
Kira.
Notice. He's actually going to jump back in on them, but DM's there with the counterplay. Comes up with the Houston.
It's a big kill. That's a gem.
They'll bring Notice down.
Do they see it? They do. Saxa grabs it. That's a massive pickup. He didn't get the BKB off.
Can they do anything off the back of this? Where do they look next? 40 seconds without the Slardar.
Maybe go toward the top tower if you can. The creeps are starting to come toward it. It's a nice aggressive move. They did use a lot, though. Stampede was used, so I feel like Vision, as soon as that Slardar respawns, they're going to look to punish this movement. So we'll see the positioning of the map afterwards. But a great hit. I mean, getting a gem, it was just purchased, so being able to deny that away from the side of Vision will be very important for the map control and very important versus this annoying bear.
They need everything they can to try and find a solution to this bear play from Satanic.
And Chira, even though he, I have to mention, right, he is going for the Shivas, which will protect him a lot versus this physical, but not having a BKB early, of course, you don't want to versus physical damage, but the control is still annoying, so we'll see how much he wants to stall out for that one, too. As I said, going BKB, it does suck in this game versus that Vision lineup. You don't really want to have to do it, but it could be something necessary because they have so many ways to just get on top of him. No one will get that connection.
What about BKBs? It's going to be Satanic's done here for the bear.
Kind of having this like triple BKB now for the side of Vision.
It's
so
strong.
Not allow Watson to get the Sunder off. If they get all 3 of those things collapsing on top of him, that is just going to prevent him from getting it. How's DM doing? Okay, he's going for the Krellas this game, so wanting to steal some of this healing, but that does mean it's going to slow down the timing of that potential Aghanim's that, you know, could be very useful for both of his turret heroes. I love this item. You know, not saying it's a bad choice, but it does mean that it is going to stall out that potential.
Yandex ready to meet Vision here. Still 2 minutes or so under left on the Aegis for no one.
They have a full Hex on 9 class. This could catch them off guard.
It's a similar point in the map where Watson did suffer before. They might get the chance to come him again. They're going to find
Chira
instead first, and that's the easier of the 2 kills straight away in with the combo. He's going to get Hex caught out. He's gone. Malady will hide in the tombstone. Yandex trying to push back against Vision, but Vision, they'll hold the high ground.
That's meta used as well, and they're unable to take the fight on the side of Yandex. Chira, never wanting to be the first point of entry into these team fights, walks up just way too aggressively. Dies in an instant. Couldn't get the save. Malady also tried, but wasn't quite in range to get that tombstone. Needs the Blink Dagger.
Tier 2s aren't going to stand long against the bear here. Satanic ready to clean up the objectives.
And there's going to be downtime now as well, too. Meta won't be up for the next bit. The Vision wants to keep punishing with that information. This Hex from 9 class, it's one of the earliest ones I believe we see on a Coddle with this type of earlier pickup that he also has. He has the rest of these items, too. Another Hex.
But DM by his side is Saxa. It doesn't matter, DM's already bailed on him. Saxa trying to juke through the tree lines, but looks like the bear and no one's going to find him.
Oh, this Hex is really problematic. The way that he can just get this little extra disable, as we said, Chira, he's not. I mean, now he's queuing up the BKB. You absolutely are gonna have to get it. It feels bad to get it, but you need to do it in this game.
He just can't fight without it.
Nope. 6K lead, Vision getting more control on the map. And they have a techies on their lineup too. So when you get more control with the techies, he ends up being able to control even more with those mines that he can place down. Satanic on the hunt. Is spotted under a sentry.
So many items. Watson's going to need to carry this game.
He is.
Look for the damage next. Obviously, the Daedalus queued up.
But there's a lot of preventative things that can go on him, right? There's Taser. There's a lot of things that are just going to disarm him from just hitting these targets.
I mean, Satanic's very close to having the money for the butterfly as well for the bear, so not going to be easy to sort of target, prioritize in these team fights for Watson.
And Watson's just going full aggression. He's not going for the butterfly himself, even though he's playing versus all this physical damage. Is just going to be going for this Daedalus build. He wants damage. He is starting to feel perhaps that pressure that he needs to be the one to dish out all that damage, because Jira a couple times now has just struggled.
Starting to step out again, Yandex. They're coming in with the smoke.
They can't find. There's bombs all over the place, though, so they are probably reading this move, right? Saksa runs into another one. Vision should be aware of this movement.
They need something big. They need to find Satanic, but it feels so unlikely with the way that Satanic's been positioned throughout this entire game. Yet to die still on the lone druid.
Scan will connect. Chira trying to sneak forward.
Know that they're coming. Vision, they're set up. DM's going to go for the jump first. We'll find with the opening, but the Bears ready to push back the rest of the team. 9 class ready to control DM. They'll put the Stampede, but Ducalis jumps in with the blast. They'll get him off towards the tombstone, so a bit of safety, but the Bears ready to take the tombstone down, kill off DM, and now can possibly turn towards
Chira.
Malady left very low. No one's got the angle to fully control Chira Jr. Take the leaner out of this.
They knew it was coming.
And Watson, he's just got to step out of the fight, go for the
jukes
away.
him.
Are they going to see him up and not in time?
Oh, what a play with the illusion.
All right, he gets
that
out.
was actually a nice little individual play, but the rest of his team...
It's not great. The other two cores are dead.
Oh, Saksa at least does find a courier kill, so will, I believe, finish off the kill off the butterfly that was coming out from Satanic, but Vision, they knew this was coming. The mines, the techies just reads it, puts these down, they see it coming perfectly. Great force staff, I believe that was 9 class to disengage the techies. They get the chain stun follow onto DM. It's such a disengaged, like, such a split up fight there from Yandex where Vision can just capitalize on it massively. No one just zoned everybody.
I mean, it's seeming that... Now, how do you make these sort of moves when there is a techies on the other side of the map? Yeah,
it's really hard.
It's just getting so much information off the back of these attempted smoke plays that are coming into his minds that, you know, what do you do if you're Yandex?
And you know how much I like this hero. When you start to play ahead with the techies, it really does feel like he's going to read every single one of the movements if he does have these mines in these smoke-catching locations. So back to back to back. Now Vision, a 13K lane. The game has exploded into their favor. Level 20, I mean, 9, I keep mentioning him, but 9 class is having one of the most insane Coddle performances I think we've seen. Nearly the same net worth as the Centaur, as his cores. He's going to have a BKB for himself as well. Yeah, Chira's game, it has slowed down completely in this one. Just so vulnerable.
It was always going to be a bit of a concern here for him on the leaner. Had a great lane. The lane was fantastic, but that is nothing more than a long-distant memory here as the gap's been closed. No one, he's taken over. Now having to lead us to Pango, and so much more easier for this Pango to have impact as opposed to the Lina right now.
Yep, and he gets Shivas now too for no one. The only real concern for him in this game was if Watson was able to just play that turret and hit him during the Rolling Thunder. Now at this point with the Ags, with the Shivas, the barriers that he's getting applied, now Watson can't focus fire him either. So no one, his job in these team fights is just get on top of Watson and just fully control him because they didn't go for BKBs. MKB is done for Watson, as you said, full aggressive build.
I think he has to.
He has
to play for the situation where he will get the chance to hit them and sort of be able to stand his ground. It's going to take a lot from the rest of his team to set up the fight in that sort of manner, but he's going to trust in them.
It could get pretty sad for him though, right? Because it could be those situations where he literally does just get chain stunned, so we'll see if they can protect him. Yeah, DM. Still not queuing up that Aghanims. He did go for the Krullas early on. It's been countered. As we saw, the Nullifier was picked up pretty early for Notice, but does have the answer versus it as well. And now they don't have that bailout for Watson or for the Lina. The double turrets are not safe at this point.
Even if it goes through after the BKB, it's going to be a long time.
It is going to be an eternity.
Until we see that on DM.
And this current meta at the moment, like Puppy was talking about, a lot of the game is revolved around team fight. One lineup has quad BKB essentially versus 0 BKBs. So the team fights, just the execution can be so much easier for the side of Vision. You only see 2 BKBs, but one has a bear with the BKB, and then the other one is a Pango, which has a built-in one.
And you know, the only hero that's going through that BKB is pretty much the Terrorblade, right?
Really is.
Everybody else, Vision are not going to care about them one bit in these team fights.
There's ways, right? The taser is going to be annoying for Watson in these fights if they don't kill the techies at the start, too. Vision.
Smoke on smoke here. Yandex.
Get the scan.
Struggle to come out on top of these sort of plays throughout this mid-game. Can they find a different outcome here?
Looking for a big wraparound. They're looking for the back line. Do they see 9 class? Don't quite see him there.
At the moment, seems like Vision don't expect this sort of move. Making a good sort of angle.
Ducalis is checking. He does expect it. He will see them.
They're going to know something's up now. And in fact, you know, Vision, they're not scared of Yandex. Notice might just be ready to make some sort of blind blink in soon.
Glimmering in.
Any of the
3-man stun!
3 of them, Notice opens up the fight. The roller cutter follow comes in. What's it going to try and be outstanding and ground in the middle of this, but they've already lost the Centaur. They've almost certainly just got to try and get out of this one. Yandex, the fight not going their way.
Chira?
Stuck on the low ground. Chira Jr. He's got Notice back in with a close on a Malady. Malady will fall. They'll lose the techies, but they'll get so much here as 4 heroes dead on Yandex. Even a 5th as the crush from Notice comes in from the low ground. They get the team wipe Vision as this game just looking more and more impossible for Yandex. They just cannot make a move against Vision.
They're reading every movement now at this point. The techies, Ducalis runs in, gives full information. A 3-man crush from Notice. You couldn't ask for better. Chira again, he can't do anything in these fights. He just gets completely followed. Look at this, gets stunned, tries to run away. His teammate tombstones him, but it's still at this point nothing that he can really deliver. Too much damage, way too many ways to sandwich on him.
Just an awkward spot for Watson as well. Only able to try and get some, a few right clicks in, but pretty much from low ground situations for the entirety of the team fight. It's just not the position Yandex wanted to go for, even though they were the ones to try and set up this play. They're feeling desperate now in this position, and it's really starting to show.
Vision's got all the answers now at this point. Great itemization, great ways to punish this, just lack of BKBs, lack of ways to prevent these stuns in particular, baiting the Stampedes time and time again. That's double Raxes. And even more items now going to be picked up here for Satanic, who did not die in this game. 3-0 and 14 so far. Flawless performance. 600 last hits on this bear. 340 minutes. And now another Roche.
I mean, what do you sort of take away from this game if you're Yandex? Because it's getting very close to that territory where you can only imagine they're considering what to do in game 2. They had such a hopeful looking early game. They were able to outplay Vision in some of those early moves that Vision were making against them, but as we mentioned throughout all those moments, Satanic was having the space, so maybe those moves that looked a little awkward for Vision weren't that awkward at all. Sure, it didn't go smoothly, but space was being created. Satanic's getting out of control, and now everything's falling together as a team, and just constant back-to-back outplays here from Vision.
Chira being stalked. Notice is on him.
He's going to see him. As Chira Jr.
finds him again.
Nobody's going to be able to come and help him. He'll try and TP out, but the Hex is there. He'll be dead again.
I mean, my biggest takeaway really is that Chira, his game it completely fell off a cliff, off of one death, it feels like. 1 or 2 of these deaths, and then it was like, he can't really do much of anything. Doesn't just have all the answers. So.
Especially when you look back to what he got from the lane, dominated the lane matchup, took the enemy tier 1 tower down 8 minutes in, didn't matter. That sort of lead fell off so quickly.
Yeah.
Gonna try and stampede, but the bear's in on top of him. He'll get the blink off. So able to live this time, DM, but only just.
Vision. Doing this to a lot of teams throughout this tournament, just knowing
times.
They just know exactly when to take team fights, and their lineup, it is insane to be able to take these team fights with this Pango, just be able to get on these targets, so. Maybe it will be some type of draft adjustment, maybe something along those lines, but we'll have to see. Gonna go for the potential end of the game here, Vision.
And honestly, maybe you got to even just look at the support duo, right? I feel like...
yeah, 9 class is insane this game.
This is going to be the most terrifying support duo to let them have. Already in stones at the base, the jump's being made as Malady's out for 50, no buyback on him. and no one ready to roll in for more. Straight in on top of Watson, holding back the Terror Blade, allowing space for the Bear to tear apart the tier 3s. Fortification will come out. See Chira Jr. back up in a few seconds. DM trying to start some sort of defense, but they just jump straight back on him in return. He's gone! He made the jump in, but he didn't press the BKB. He's dead for 60 without the buyback.
He's had a really rough game as well, too. Besides Chira, mentioning Chira having a bit of a difficult one after his deaths, but DM, too.
Quiet game.
I do think some of this itemization could be looked at for the next game, too, because just playing into so much team fight. Yes, okay, there's physical damage, so it does feel bad to get some of these BKBs, but being unable to move, being unable to play also feels bad if you don't get the BKBs. Multiple times now, they've just been able to completely control these targets.
Ready to go again with the push here. Still 2 minutes left on the Aegis for no one. They'll try and hold the Bear back. Look to burst through.
Chira.
Again, notice he's able to get the stop straight away on top of the two of them. The buyback will come out immediately from Saxon. No one getting taken out a bit low, but the Rolling Thunder's up. He's looking to get the angle to get back in onto Watson, of course, still relying on the fact that he has that second life if it's even forced out of him. Malady gets caught out by the fear from Satanic. He backs straight in. Back to the Undying, but can they really push them off these barracks? Top set.
Final one.
Taken away. That's the Mega Creeps out.
Chira.
Exxon and Chira Jr. TM's going to come in with a jump, but the BKB's already out from 9 class and Satanic's Bear. They surround Watson. The fear's there into the root. They'll try and force Watson back to safety. He'll turn with a little bit of a thunder to heal up. They'll bring no one down the ones, but he's going to be back with his second life. Saxon's gone. 80 seconds. No buyback on him. Vision, they still have the full 5 of them ready to go. Notice.
Rolling Thunder's back up in 2 seconds. They're not moving.
If he sees a chance to jump, he'll go for it. Notice coming in with some fantastic blink plays this game.
Watson has his meta at the ready. Can he somehow bring down any of these cores?
Yeah, coming up to a 40k lead here. 43 minutes in.
He's got his BKB, so he can start to actually stick onto some of these targets, perhaps.
No one's in. Doesn't catch Watson immediately with the first connection with the Rolling Thunder. Will turn over towards Chira Jr. instead. They're being respectful though. Vision, not trying to push it too far. They'll play it safe.
He popped meta. They can back up, reset, wait for the meta to go down, and look to clean it up right afterwards. Playing it very smart. This team has been pretty perfect of how they pick and choose their battles in this game.
I don't think we've ever seen them let this sort of a lead slip away.
No.
Unlikely to do so here, but you never know. On the main stage, maybe something crazy can happen. We've seen some crazy stuff. This would probably be the craziest, especially against a team that's 40k ahead. Mega Creeps in their advantage.
9 class is level 25 also. Even more heals, even more damage.
Body back up on Yandex. Chira Jr.
Got these BKBs now on Chira and on Watson, but it just feels it's so late. They now just die in an instant versus these massive physical damage that comes out from Vision as well.
Mega Creeps starting to approach the base.
Meta cooldown still 45 seconds. Full AC now on the Bear too. Absolutely massive on Satanic. Has not been addressed this game. The first pick gets away with 0 deaths.
Happy to just finish off that next round of items before they go for what's likely to be their final push.
And, I didn't get to mention it much too, but Saksa having a bit of a quiet one in comparison to what we've seen from the game.
I mean,
Yandex,
it
right?
does feel like 9 class. He's turned up today and he says, you know what, Saxon might have given you quite a show yesterday, but let me show you what I can do.
Truly, right? That off lane is insane how much of a difference it is this game. 9 class and notice what they've been able to do. Effectively shutting down multiple cores with it. Meta is going to get to come back up for Watson. But looks like Vision's not in a rush. Chilling back, they bottle an Arcane Rune. Octarine also for no one was picked up. Disperser, starting to get these super expensive items as well too. Full Constriction, putting all the wards right outside the base too, so Yandex can't even get outside.
It's just, what is it they're going to fear the most after this game? Out of the heroes that Vision are playing with. I feel like it might just be the techies. It just seems like it's doing so much on the map. Like anytime they get a little bit of a lead, your map closes in upon yourself, and you're just seemingly unable to get it back against Ducalis.
It's tough to point at one thing
I mean,
in particular.
sure.
I think it's so many
make cases
things.
for all of them.
Yeah, because it's also right, like in a lot of these situations, Vision they weren't falling too far behind in a 4v5 situation, and then Satanic was able to get involved. So there's a lot of things to look at for the side of Yandex to improve in this next one.
Taxa going to get found out on the map.
Oh yeah, 9 class. This is a
On the bears in.
absolute perfection from 9 class.
Kira Jr. looking to get the BKB off. They'll use the Tombstone as well to try and save him. With the rest of the Stampede, will get back to the fountain. Malady's gone. Has buyback available on him. Dax, of course, still does not. Vision. Continue to very carefully approach the victory.
Surgically.
Titanic's in with the bear. Trying to come in with the burst. See if they can take the bear down though once. They can. That's the bear gone. But now,
Got to resummon, send it back. It's going to take a little bit of time for it to get there. How careful does Vision want to be? If they want, they can just wait for the Roche and then just look to close it out with the bodies. Meta was used though again, so perhaps they do look to jump immediately after that meta goes down. We'll have to see which choice it is for theirs. It's a long Roshan respawn. Just no way for Yandex to get outside though versus these mines, versus this bear.
and a very, very difficult game for Watson to sort of be able to carry from this point. We've seen him carry, against some pretty hefty net worth leads, but this coming up to nearly 50k. Definitely, I don't know what sort of item pickup can sort of save him from this sort of situation. Slots already filled up. I mean,
they also don't have the similar these control, right? The BKB piercing control that the Slardar has too. It's limited ways for them to get the catch versus a quad BKB lineup that has been built up from Vision very early in this game. Mind's now controlling absolutely everything. Ducalis.
I think, at least especially in the hands of no one, very much seeing, why this hero Pangolier still has the win rate that he does, even though it hasn't been picked too many times. The fact that he's able to still do this after having one of the rougher lane matchups.
They're going to look to end it. 20 seconds still on meta for Watson. What do they see?
Is he going to get the jump on him? They could go with Watson. They get an aggressive force onto it straight away. The force into the Hex. I think that was all 9 class there. Setting up to kill Watson off.
What a beast.
Onto the tier 4s, onto the Ancient. He'll come up with a buyback here, Watson. Can they stop the bear? Have some control there with the Yules. Ancient coming down to almost half HP. And we'll step back. Sharpshooter in onto 9 class, but 9 class is ready with the BKB. Another sort of force down to Chira Jr. He'll buy back immediately as well. Watson trying to stand his ground and fight back here with a Metamorphosis. Vision, they'll kite that out for now.
9 class just devastating them. 4-step aggressively into the Hex multiple times.
He's ready to catch them. He's having a lot of fun this game, 9 class. 7-0-20.
Might be one of the best caught-up performances I've ever seen. Finding these snipes in the early game, allowing to enable Notice to have this type of game. Enabling no one as well, too, with his rotations and his chakras. Next level stuff coming out from him here. You look at his inventory, you're like, is this actually a support coddle? Are you sure this was a support coddle?
I mean, it's, he did at the start kind of overtake the mid farm of no one. Sort of has become that additional mid player for Vision this game.
He truly has been this time around. And as you said, Ducalis, he's done some heavy lifting, some heavy work too on this techies. I was hoping to see this hero a lot more in this tournament. Getting to see Vision display, it does look very strong in certain lineups.
And we do have a fair few solid techies players still in the competition.
We absolutely do.
Carl is certainly one of them.
It's such an annoying hero to play against once you fall behind. Because just getting out of the map, as we saw, the smoke movements just get red. The base...
Ready to close it. They're onto the Ancient here. The fortification will come out. Satanic ready to send the bear over towards Watson. He's caught in the root. DM will try and get him out with the Stampede. They do kill the bear off.
He's got another.
Yeah, quickly he wants to send it back in there. Put the pushback on to no one. Sharpshooter as well. Swashbuckle out. Keeping the game alive somehow, some way.
62,000 lead though. Roche now will spawn. They can back up, pick that one up as well. They're all pretty much 6-slotted now at this point. No one can treat himself to a refresher as well. It's just hanging on here for Yandex.
It's got to be the rapier for Watson. Yeah. But again, not always not the best. The dream hero to have it on, but it's still it still does something.
He has done some miraculous stuff. We did see that one win Ranger game that he was able to crazy turn around, but this one would be even harder.
I was going to say, if that was extreme difficulty, this is nightmare difficulty here for Watson. If he's at least able to get the courier out and get that purchase, it's not going to be easy with the position that Vision's in. We'll have to sell something for it as well if he wants it for this final defense.
There's no one. Full refresher for him. Back up, picks it up, resets his mana.
All right, here we go. He's getting the courier sent out to the shop. We'll see if Watson's going to be able to get that Divine Rapier picked up here for the hold.
I mean, they do. They see
There's a lot of heroes around.
That courier ain't making it.
It's not.
There's no way.
Satanic's ready with the bear. If he wants to make that pickup, he's going to have to get out on the map himself in the next 2 minutes.
That's not
rather unlikely.
He'll have to run through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 20 mines to do so. And a whole team, of course. Not much growth has been here for the side of Yandex. The other two cores have gotten literally nothing. It feels like in the last 20, 25 minutes. It's only Watson growing. While Vision, it's essentially, I mean, it's 4 cores, as you said.
Oh, yeah. And Satanic's pretty much got the bear 8 slotted. He's ready to pick up a moon shard next for it.
And he's got one,
and he's got the refresh.
3 bears, because he's got the shard.
Vision. Will they catch this time on the jump straight in? They're going to look towards the end. Notice finds the central. Will still manage to get the stampede out. Satanic gets the bear over towards Watson. In fact, sending the bear over to the base. They're ready to get this game done and dusted with as the ancient will fall. Game 1 going to Team Vision. It looked like at the start that maybe there was some hope here for Yandex, but my goodness, for the majority of this game, it became very clear there wasn't.
Yeah, I think overall for their draft, they have to get more ahead with this Lina and can't have these deaths for Chira because his game completely fell off a cliff. Some of the itemization, too, I feel like left something to be desired. Like, I know how good this Krulla's item is, in particular in a lot of these games. It can steal all this healing, but I really was feeling just this lack of immunity versus these stuns. It felt like Team Vision could just pop their abilities, jump in. They had these triple BKBs themselves, so the team fight just felt that much easier for them, even when they were kind of at that even footing.
Yeah, just another one of those Vision games where every single player pretty much gave us a show-stopping performance throughout that. I don't even know who to highlight. I'll leave that up to the panel. Vision, take game 1.
It was a beautiful display from Vision. The fact that we see them down in the earlier portion of this game, yet they don't give up. There's ways for them to be able to take the game and for it to become theirs. And by the end of it, you're wondering at any point, did Yandex really have the lead or was it an illusion all along, Quinn?
They're just so good at knowing exactly what timing they're playing for because Yandex were ahead in this early game. They had a little bit of pressure. They had some moves going, but Vision is not stressed. They're not worried. They're chilling and they're waiting for that moment. They understand the heroes and the grander scale of the game so incredibly well that if you let the time pass, then you're going to pay for it.
And Vision are so comfortable playing from both ahead and from behind in a lot of situations that they're starting to feel very infallible when it comes to specific strategies. And I do think Lone Druid is one of them. It was let through in the first phase. Yandex had an idea against it. The best thing that I think Vision did was take the Slardar for themselves and not enable it within Yandex. But it really did feel like an illusion that Yandex were ahead at any point.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the timing of when everything comes online for Vision, you see the heroes just explode. Like this Lina vanishes even though they're like 2, 3, 4K, even 5K gold behind at some point, it doesn't really matter because when you see all the pieces come together for Vision, there's just no way to keep your heroes alive. And if you can't keep your heroes alive, you're never going to win.
One of the big things that Puppy talked about in the coach interview that Tsunami had with him just as the draft of this game wrapped up was talking about how one of the biggest strengths for the side of Vision at the moment, and especially in this TI or what they've been doing throughout this season, is being able to split push. And I feel like that was also one of the key moments as to how they even got to their item timings, how they were able to stall this game out to be able to get to that critical mass for themselves.
Yeah, they've got so much kill threat. They have so many heroes that can burst you, and when your waves are getting pushed by a bear, by Coddle Blast, by Techie's mines all over the place, you're losing control of the map. And if you look at Yandex's heroes, it's a bunch of squishy guys who don't want to get crushed by a Slaughter. They don't want to get rolled on by a Pango. They're not okay turning the fight around. They want to start it themselves, but they can't because they're getting split everywhere. And then whenever they show on a wave, boom, there's a big fish that stuns them. Like they don't have an answer for this.
I feel like the difference maker also is that if you look at Yandex, they can also match the wave shoving. It's not that, but the difference is that when Vision is shoving the waves. They also have the kill threat on the heroes that show.
Yeah.
Whereas from Vision side, it's so much trickier. You have to combine Lina and Centaur doesn't have a blink until much, much later on in the game. Not to say that it's his fault for not having one. It's the natural progression of items, but they just can't really match the same tempo, and they can't do it as early as Vision can. And I think that really is what helps them get back into the game.
For sure. I do wonder, with the Lina in this game, it felt like with the lane that CJ had, that more would come out of it. And it did look scary at some point. There was a lot of pressure going on in that mid lane. A lot of pressure was going on no one. But it seems like all it took was one CJ death Quinn and everything fell apart.
Yeah, it's a game where you're playing on very thin ice. You're playing against multiple jumpers. It's a game where it's not easy for you to itemize. We talked about in the past where Lina has trouble buying armor items, and armor items are all you want in this game. He ends up going for an Ags, not the BKB, not the armor item. We talked about it some backstage, and it just feels like, I don't know, his power is just slowly waning and dripping off after an amazing laning phase. Genuinely, he obliterated no one, but it just didn't really come to much.
I feel like it's just tricky. You can look at CJ and say, like, yeah, he dies once and the game's over. But if you want to make this kind of draft work, it requires the team to function at such a high level. And we talked about it in the green room, but there's these like moves that need to happen with the TB really early on where you just abuse the fact that you're 2-3k gold ahead and the enemy team can't fight you until they get their blinks online.
Yeah, these gold leads, they matter less and less as more time passes. As everyone's gold goes higher and higher, that 2-3k difference means less because it's a smaller percentage of everyone's total gold. And so you want to seize the opportunity, strike while the iron's hot. If you got a 2k gold at 10 minutes, that is so much more than a 2k gold lead at 20 minutes.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what a lone druid is going to be able to do. If you don't capitalize on the small lead you get at the start, he will be able to farm up. He will be able to close that and will be able to become 6-slotted faster than what feels like almost any other hero can do for themselves. The other one that I very quickly wanted to talk about was 9class, just how impactful it felt he was in this game as well, because so often in main stage, Coddle is either getting first phase banned or completely ignored, just teams that aren't playing it. And now we see it in this game and you go, okay, now I finally understand why people weren't willing to call the bluff of certain teams about Coddle.
Yeah, 9class is very scary on a lot of heroes, but one of his scariest heroes in this patch is Coddle, and that's why it is consistently banned against him. But for me, the difference maker as well, outside of him just opening up the draft with hero combinations like Coddle plus Pango, is the early Hex that he got. At some point, it did feel like when TV got Scotty that there was a timing for Yandex to be able to fight, but 9class matched that with not going for any defensive items early on, just getting that Hex and making sure that the fights are even harder to take.
We talked about it when Nigma played, about like players with killer instinct, Sumail. And I think 9class is a similar thing going, where he understands what do I actually need to win the game. He doesn't buy like 4-staff Glimmer Cape, that's always good. He knows that in this specific game, I hex the right guy, we burst him, and the game is over.
It's just adding to more of the overwhelming team fight that it felt Vision were just slowly accruing for themselves. But so much more goes into it. There are small nuances that you don't necessarily catch when an exciting game like that is playing out. And luckily for us, we have Purge to do all of that digging for us.
Thank you, Nat. Yeah, a big moment in this game came around the 25-minute mark, and a lot of it comes down to Vision, coming from wards. And what these wards provide for you is spotting enemy heroes and giving you good chances to initiate. And that works so much better for Team Vision because they had great gankers, mainly the Bear, this invisible terror guy that's very good at chain stunning once he initiates here. He attacks, he fears you, he roots you, and then you're basically dead afterwards, and it allows your team to set up for a good team fight afterwards, which started off really good. It looked like it was just going to be the Undying, but that Bear Vision spotted out the Terror Blade. There was a nice stun from the neutrals helping them out, and that chain stun and magic immunity got them this really crucial kill. And the game was pretty close before this point, but that nice jump that they got from Vision and from the Bear ended up helping them out really nicely. They killed the Hoodwink as well here. And on the other side, look what Yandex has to do for fights. They have a walk up and stun from Lina. They have other stun follow-ups, so it's difficult for them to actually get a disable. They did grab a gem though, which is pretty instrumental because that's going to help you control the enemy observer wards. And this ward here, this is a weird one, man. On top of this neutral camp, normally Soxus can feel really comfortable because he's dewarding this whole area and he has his own observer ward of his own. But he's less likely to run this direction because that's kind of a danger territory. So he kind of stays in the area, but he feels safe because his ward spots the enemy heroes that are coming to kill him. So he ends up dodging this gank, Vision really mattering there. But later on, they instead kind of use that usefulness to both walk onto the high ground where their observer ward was, but also that's going to make Yandex think that he's safe to run to the right because his observer ward is still there spotting. And then they get to utilize their better stun jumpers. They stun with the Slardar, they stun with the Techies. They do all this burst damage into this fight. They're able to kill Malady pretty easily after he defensively covers himself. I'm sorry, he doesn't die there. But this gives them really nice control of the map. This allows them to push and take control of the tier 2. And once this tower's gone, this invisible bear is an even bigger terror. So it just gets worse as time goes on there for Yandex. Vision really taking advantage of their nice observer wards and their great chain stuns.
Thank you so much, Pudge. It really does come down to the Vision game at the end of the day where you're able to put these cheeky observer wards. And I feel like, Insania, when we saw the map of Dota change, that was the big question mark. Where are those pivotal warding spots going to be for yourself? There's a lot of high ground wards that might seem quite obvious, even though they are advantageous. And at the end of the day, you find a spot like that. You shove it in a neutral camp and you go, this is going to be a wide enough cone that we're still going to get great engagements out of it.
I mean, it's a really cool ward, to be honest, because if you pay attention to the timer in the game, it's around 20 minutes. And usually that's when the enemy team has control of your jungle. You tend to swap sides. It's quite a normal thing that happens in Dota. So when you walk past the camp and you see that there's no creeps, maybe a lot of you at home are thinking, well, it's so obvious there's no creep camp, but there should be a ward there. But at high-level Dota, people are so efficient that these camps are just farmed every minute. So when you walk by it, you can't draw that conclusion because most likely somebody's just farmed it. That's all you're going to think of it, and you're going to move on. So it's a really clutch ward, and obviously ends up winning them 2 crucial team fights that also win them the game.
How often were you looking at that stuff when you were playing Position 5, like seeing other players' warding patterns, trying to find new spots for yourself to ward?
Like all the time. I have like a folder in my head with each player in it, like Snaking wards like this guy wards like that, this Tofu has tendencies to put these kinds of words. So it's something that as a 5, it becomes like your own little game, and you try to explain it to your cores and get them like on board with like, hey guys, I need you to put a sentry here. And they're just like, stop talking about wards. We don't care about this.
Yeah, it's actually an area of Dota that half the players know nothing about, and the others are like, oh no, you got to place it 2 inches to the right and then 1 millimeter up and get your protractor out. And I'm like, bro, I touching these things.
I mean, it ends up winning you a game. It ends up putting you one step closer to be able to go to a grand finals of an international. I mean, the energy is so crazy right now in Shanghai. Everyone was having so much fun looking at this bear being able to do what it's supposed to do. And Effie, are we really going to get the chance to see another lone druid when there is Vision in the series?
Honestly, it's seeming very problematic letting through Satanic Slender because they had a great start on Yandex. They managed to do a lot of really cool moves, even kill the bear early on, but all it took was a few item timings on that Lone Druid, a few pickoffs, and the game snowballed out of control. I think banning it can make it very easy, especially if you see the Wyvern plus Enigma bans that we saw at the start of the game. It made it obvious that they wanted it. You try to beat it one time, don't let it through game 2.
Yeah, it's scary, though, when the heroes you want to ban start mounting like this. It's what turns a team from extremely strong to impervious, that now suddenly, as a Lone Druid, you feel like you need to ban. As a Coddle, the 9 class has 0 deaths and an insane amount of impact in this game, but you want to ban that hero too. And you've got your preset bans for all the normal meta heroes that everyone else plays, and suddenly you've got 7 heroes you want to ban, and that's not how the draft works. And this is going to cause some real problems. You have to pick something to beat. It's what all the best teams in recent years, the strategy they use is, we've got this set number of strategies, you have to beat one of them because we have too many to ban them all out.
The silver lining of it is that Yandex should potentially have first pick in the next game here, but then you have less first base bans for yourself. When you're first pick, you only have 3, compared to when you were second pick, you get to have 4. And so they were more than willing to let the Lone Druid in, even though they had more bans up their sleeves.
It changes the dynamic, though, when you're on first pick. Generally, first pick, you have the option of creating like this unbeatable draft, whereas second pick kind of has to respond to whatever you're presenting them with. So that at least changes the flow of it.
We're seeing our teams walking back out now. A lot of cheers for them. And I know everyone here and watching at home would love to see it go to a game number 3. And I'm hoping Yandex could take that time to themselves, be able to recalculate, readjust. We've seen them do it in their previous series where, again, they were having a massive lead up against Enigma Galaxy. And it was big team fights that ultimately led to their downfall for a game. But they fought back. They were able to bring it together and come up with great new adjustments in their draft. So I have full faith that Yandex are going to come in just as strong for game 2.
Yeah, I think they're a team that have a lot of respect for Team Vision. They've played them a lot this year. They were mostly evenly matched for a bigger portion of the season. And I think that in the game 1 in particular, a lot of it did come down to Lone Druid. And I really think that this Slardar that Puppy took and gave to Noticed was what threw a wrench into the idea that they prepared today, because Yandex do have a very good history of beating Lone Druid, but they always beat it with Slardar plus ranged carry. And here we see a hero comparison of Watson and Satanic. Watson actually impressed me with how he was able to keep up in GPM even while they were losing, but it just wasn't enough in Stadium.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Watson, I think this entire tournament has managed to stay like 10k gold ahead of every single other carry player, even when they're in losing games. But this time around, like Satanic, he's a different beast. I feel like he matched him and eventually even overtook him.
Yeah, Lone Druid is just, the hero just farms so disgustingly fast because he's farming with 2 heroes at once on opposite sides of the map. It's hard to match, but I agree with you, Nat, that I think they will be able to bounce back. And I think part of the reason why this game looks so dominant from Vision is that it's just easier for them to play. They have the jumps, and generally you want the wave push, and you want some team fight and some jump. And I think Yandex has maybe 2 pieces of the puzzle, but not all 3. Whereas Vision, it's just much easier for them to play. And in a high-stress situation, on a TI main stage, a match that's going to the grand finals, you don't want to have to play at 100% because that's just not reasonable to expect from every game. You want a little bit of slack that mistakes are acceptable, not, like we said, 1 death on Cheer Jr. and the game feels impossible.
And to be optimistic, I mean, Yandex did play a very solid early game. They've looked really clean in the first 15 minutes of every game they've played this TI. They make really cool moves. They're able to creatively overcome some difficult situations. An example that comes to mind in that game 1 was Satanic was like dragging a wave with the bear around minute 9, and he was going to just do shenanigans that would have catapulted him in net worth, that would have made DM's lane harder, but they just bring everybody. They chase the bear with Undying, Lina, and Hoodwink. They kill it, and they're able to take the top tower off of that, and that is very creative, and that is a Soxa call, and it is things like that that will push them over Team Vision in those first 15 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. That was incredibly clutch. I remember looking at that game thinking, like, when is TB going to gate top? When is TB going to gate top? How are they going to open up this tier 1 tower? And then they find it in that creative way that you mentioned.
Yeah, it's little things. It's so many little things, and I think it just speaks to how high level these 2 teams are and how high level, when you get to the end of the tournament, people... They step up or they step down. And I think both of these teams are stepping up. Vision especially has been just incredible. It's not often you see a team that is so good. It's hard to honestly properly iterate how incredibly skilled and talented these players are when you play with them, against them, when you watch them play. You can just feel the skill oozing in everything they do.
I really enjoyed what we got to see from the supports of Vision as well. It's a Coddle, it's a Techies. Whether the heroes are getting banned out, whether teams aren't necessarily looking at them, the creativity really gets to shine through the supports because of how stable the cores are. I'm hoping Yandex brings a little bit of that because we know that their subs also love to be creative, but we don't have all the answers just yet. In fact, we're going to get most of them in a moment as we head to game number 2.
Team Vision versus Team Yandex. Game 2.
A game 2 draft where we are going to be seeing Yandex now with a first pick for themselves. That is the reverse or the inverse, however you want to coin it, compared to game number 1. And so it brings back that conversation that we were having before. What do you still want to prioritize banning out now that you only have 3 bans for Yandex? But also at the same time, what are you hoping to leave in the pool that will become an issue for Vision when you get to first pick it?
Yeah, these bans are, to be honest, I think not what you want to see when you're on first pick. You're banning Lone Druid, which a hero was first pick last game. You're banning Earth Spirit, that's a first pick hero. Well, you've set 2 of your bans on what you would expect the enemy team to ban against you. That potentially does not bode well for series if they win this game and it progresses or matches in the future. It's a little worrisome, but it's not totally decided.
That was a great SF ban. I think a Watson Shadow Fiend just crushing the lane and connecting early on would have solved a lot of the tempo issues they had in game 1, and they saw the Darkseer ban. It was pretty telegraphed there. Puppy's on top of things.
I think for Yandex, to be honest, like the map play and everything, I think they can match Vision quite well. And just to tie back to what Puppy even said in his interview, I think at TI, you always have to be able to win fights, because when you're playing high-stakes, high-pressure games, eventually the game just boils down to that anyway. And people are going to ball up more. You're going to have to be able to win a team fight at some point. And I think that's really where their draft was lacking last time, where it just didn't come together nicely for the team fights.
Yeah, and we talk about how Vision is a solid team, a team that's difficult to break. And while I think Bounty Hunter, it lets you get the first layer of towers down. It lets you slowly break the map down. it's difficult to penetrate when they've got their sort of fortress built up. They ward these wards, they hold these camps, they don't let you take too much gold away, and they keep farming just enough that they get to these key timings. And so I think with these heroes, there's a lot of early aggression, there's a lot of back and forth fighting on enemy sides. And so who's able to close down the map faster and get that early start is really important.
So the trades come out with Bounty Hunter for Yandex, this hero. We haven't really seen much of it after the first day where he kind of emerged as one of the heroes of the main stage, but it was Saksa that brought it into popularity. And for Team Vision, the trade-off is they get Nature's Prophet on Satanic. We talk about some key strategies for this team where they look unbeatable. Lone Druid seems like one of them, but the other has been Nature's Prophet too. A lot of teams have let it through and just not won to it.
And it's a consequence of the bans, right? If we look back and you end up banning Lone Druid, that is a potential first pick hero. We obviously saw that in the last game. Earth Spirit's been super dominant in the tournament, but it hasn't looked as confident for Yandex. And the drawback to that is that you're now playing a much more open draft. You're going to have to play against some heroes. And they decide, Bounty Hunter's been really good for them. It was one of the heroes that I think also utilizes Saksa's comms more than anything. It's kind of an underrated aspect of the hero, but you get to move around the map a lot and you're not really playing lanes. So you're a lot more in the mindset of like, how do I enable my team? How do I set things up? How do I actually make things happen? And Saksa is the guy to do that. He can talk, he can make sure his team is moving in the right places, finding those right moves in the early game.
Bounty Hunter really fits into what TI is so about in terms of we didn't really see him much during group stages. Everyone felt like they had an idea coming into the international, how it would play out, the heroes that people would prioritize. And we get to a main stage. We've seen him 7 times now, and he's won 6 of those on this stage. The fact that he's only lost 1, it's just a true testament to what this hero is able to do, but also a testament to the teams and the players that are able to get their hands on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it takes people out of their comfort zone, and I think it's also an interesting risk Vision takes picking Nature's Prophet into it, because traditionally Bounty and Invis heroes that sneak around and set up on you are pretty good against Nature's Prophet. He's TPing in random places and farming in corners, and if suddenly someone sees you, scouts you, gets sneaky wards on the sides of the map while the team can set up on you and kill you, can have pressure coming through the gate. There's a lot of dynamics to this Bounty Hunter that are pretty good against Nature's Prophet.
And I think they try to match some of the dynamics that you talked about with Vision of their own in Slardar. He's one of the better heroes to play against Bounty Hunter, especially in team fights, and it amplifies a lot of Nature's Prophet's objective taking. Like, he will TP around early and get kills in towers, but when it comes to things like Tormentor and Roshan, he does need a little bit of an extra boost, and Vision feel very good about it after that game 1.
It's also a flex, so you don't have the easy counter pick. It could go mid or off lane, so when Yandex is coming up to the next core pick, well, Nature's Prophet is most likely to carry, but the Slardar, it could go either place, and so it's not as easy to just straight up one-to-one counter someone.
I also feel like this, I see the vision, like for Team Vision, they're trying to build drafts where they amplify each other. It's the idea of this like triple core is going to match up against whatever you present to us on Watson in the end. Slardar, amazing for that. He makes any hero on your team stronger. Everybody that's hitting one target are going to be stronger. And this whole concept that Yandex has been playing of this 4+1 ultimately just becomes weaker against that.
Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but I think that is a great, very important idea. And I think the Tidehunter combats that a little bit, and now I can purge the corrosive haze. You're trying to focus one guy down at a time. Well, last game we saw everyone getting jumped. They don't have a hero that's okay being in the front line, and I think this is trying to rectify that. It's saying we want that ease of execution. We want this hero that can just waddle into the fight, a big watermelon, and you just can't crack his shell. Like, that is a very useful tool that makes it much easier to play.
And it's saying we want that team fight, right? Which they very sorely lacked in that game 1. A team that actually did beat Satanic's Furion this tournament was Boom Boys. They were the only ones to do it, and they did it with Ember Marana. They did it with Skirmish Heroes. They had an Undying as well, but they just essentially kept running at Team Vision, even if the laning stage didn't go so well. They made it so that Nature's Prophet couldn't sit back and farm.
This was how Vision were beating our Nature's Prophet after like our TI win. They kept giving us Prophet, and we're like, oh, free win. Of course we'll take it. And then they would just keep bringing heroes into our lane and just delay that level 6 so much, never allow Mickey to just sit back and farm for a couple of minutes and just snowball the game that way. So it is a great strategy against Prophet. What I do find interesting here, though, is that Vision have a lot of options, right? You mentioned the flex between these two heroes. Prophet could even be a mid hero, and they look for something that actually cracks open the Tidehunter and opens that up too. So it's an early Tidehunter pick. You're assuming it's laning as Prophet. If it gets to be there, great. But Vision, they have options here.
Yeah, they do, and it's something you'll have to consider if you are Yandex. I'm sure they have. No one is a player that is very, very comfortable on carry heroes, range type dudes. He can play the sniper. He's played the Nature's Prophet in the past, so it is definitely not out of his wheelhouse. I don't think he'd be uncomfortable one bit. But I also like the Wyvern quite a bit against the Nature's Prophet and the Slaughter. It's more into, I really think they felt that in the last game. We're getting bursted and we can't do anything about it, and they're picking hero after hero that prevents that so they don't lose in the same way. We've talked about running drafts back, and losing the same way feels very silly and sort of stupid. And I think in the same way, losing to the similar type of gameplay, the same strengths and weaknesses in the draft can feel similar. And so I like that they've covered those over, and they're saying, let's play a different game. If you're going to beat us, you got to beat us in a different way.
Yeah, that's great. It's fundamentally different with the heroes that we're seeing, but it still feels like it's not enough oomph. Not enough skirmishing, not enough running at this Prophet and making him uncomfortable. Like, Tide is going to be farming for a while, Bounty Hunter will be providing vision, and Wyvern can counterplay a lot of team fights, but there's not that hero yet that's going to set the pace for this game.
Yeah, essentially, I feel like Yandex, they've tried to fix their team fight. They have this Bounty Hunter to play the map, and now we're looking for something, like as you mentioned, Mira, to provide damage, to provide ways for them to actually also kill their opponents.
And that's where the genius of Vision's draft comes in, where the hero that would do that can be countered by the Slardar mid. It's typically the spirits and the melee type heroes that CJ plays, right? Slardar lanes against them exceptionally if they flex it. And if they try to do it through Watts in the tempo setting, then you can run the Slardar plus Willow offlane, which is so hard to play into for Watson's hero pool.
Wow, very forgotten hero, I feel, in the last little bit. She did get that small change in a recent patch, and so some teams still favored her. There's still good situations for her, but seeing her here on the main stage finally.
It's a good mix, I think, of damage types, and it pairs well with Bounty Hunter. When you've got that hero, he kind of wants follow-up damage, oftentimes from a distance because he's scouting people, he's finding a random guy. Okay, now Bounty sees them and you throw globs and this guy just dies. And on top of that, it's got a great lane against Slardar, and it's just a very solid laner in general. So if they do decide to put Slardar off lane to pick a new mid, well, it's very difficult to beat Snapfire in lane with pretty much anything. So you've got guaranteed a good start, you've got good synergy with your 4, which is one of the most important building blocks of, sort of the draft in general. So I like this, and I think CJ is also very good at it.
Lots of damage as well versus Dark Willow, and we've seen 9 class be an absolute menace on it. And it also doesn't worry about Bramble Maze, which the Spirit heroes would have.
Sox has also been one of the few players that I've noticed on these really, really early game rotations. Even at minute 4 sometimes, he can TP mid and try to we have an Ogre off.
Which one wins, left or right?
Left for sure.
I think
left
for sure.
hooked, yeah.
Somehow looks more lost than the actual Ogre.
No, but you have this cool thing that Soxa can do where he can TP mid very early on, maybe even at level, minute 4, get cookied from Invis, and there's you don't even see it coming. So I really like this idea from Yandex. I think Soxa is very enabled in this game to be that shining star for his team.
Yeah, and they leave Watson for last pick, but they don't have the absolute last pick. So whatever Vision wants will be on the absolute last slot, which means that Watson may potentially be playing against a counter pick in lane. They do ban 2 mid heroes, so it seems like they think the Slaughter mid is too bad against Snapfire. It's going to be in the off lane, and that's what they're preparing for. That's what they're gearing towards. Sometimes people split their bans, but they're all in on, nah, we think it's Slaughter off lane.
I think conceptually that's really smart because you decide to counter Slaughter on the mid lane, essentially telling your team that we're going to guarantee that it's in the off lane, and despite not having the absolute last pick of the draft, we now get to ban the 2 best matchups against the Snapfire mid and also get to counterpick the Slaughter. So you're setting yourself up for a very strong situation despite the enemy team having a counterpick on you.
Yeah, it's solid ideas all around. I think so much of it will just come down to execution, though, and that you can pick great heroes. I think they had heroes that could do pretty well last game. They had a solid early game, but you have to stick to it. You have to keep that confidence, and that's where I look at last game and how it faltered a little bit. You talk backstage, you come back into this, you've got a good draft, you've set yourself up well, but you need to, the play does the talking at the end of the day, and I need to see that from them because it's not a game that you just waltz over. You'll never outdraft Vision so hard that you'll auto-win. They're just too good for that.
Yandex are definitely going to try, though, with their last pick here. And spending a little bit of time because Watson has definitely preferred the Kez and the Terrorblade have been taken out, but Watson's proficient on many different heroes. Is there something specific in a hero that we're looking for here?
Probably a melee hero, something that pushes waves. Generally, Wyvern wants to sit behind people, and so you want something that sort of enables that. Luna's an interesting one. It's great against Slaughter and Willow because you naturally buy Manta. It's not a game where you want to BKB a lot. You want someone who can push the waves and also buy a Manta, a Pike, because it's like I said, it's just not a great BKB game. You want to kite and be sort of fluid. And Luna is very, very cool and good at that. And it's while it may not be a melee hero, it pairs with Wyvern in that you're sort of a manly ranged hero. You get in there a little bit. You don't have super range. And so I think it's a cool pick.
Yeah, this Luna is going to play a lot of tempo. To me, Yandex are saying, we think we played a strong early game, and we're just going to push our advantage. We're going to group up with our Luna and Tide. We're going to take objectives before you do, and we're not going to let you get to a point where Satanic carries this game. Because while Luna is amazing on lane and amazing at grouping up, eventually she will lose in scaling to Vision's Prophet.
Yeah, that's true. She does have a lot of armor that I like. It's a hero that buys items that naturally give you armor. I think Slardar, as a hero, needs to be able to kill stuff like they did in the last game. If things don't blow up to you, once stuff doesn't die to you instantly, it becomes a lot trickier to play. And I feel like this time around, when I look at Yandex's heroes, I feel like the team fighting is completely solved. And the more of the question is going to be, how do we address Yandex playing them out? Or sorry, Vision playing them out.
Yeah, Puck definitely adds to that. There is no way to kill this Puck in the early game. You kind of need to wait for a Hex almost. So it's going to be a game where Puck cannot die. You cannot really attack the mid lane anymore, and you're looking for plate moves elsewhere. You're getting farmed, and you're waiting for that Hex timing later on. And so the splitting from Vision, the Nature's Prophet, the Puck TPing around, like that is going to become the name of the game for the first, solid chunk of the game.
Puck has not had a great tournament, though. Like, this hero has failed to deliver on the main stage, and while it is exceptional in that there's no disable for it, it's also a hero that I'm only going to really care about in the late game, in that scaling. And again, the onus is on Yandex to just keep running at them, group up with their Tide and Luna, and take everything, and I think they can do it.
They definitely have very different tools than they did last time. This time around, I think teamfight is completely secured up, and the question is more going to be like, how are we going to be able to play the map? Are we going to get split push to death? And this is, again, ties back to what Puppy said. We can play both styles. We can play split push, we can play team fight, and we're going to prove it to you here.
Is there enough of Yandex's draft that could deal with both those elements? Because you're saying they've really corrected on the team fight, but have they overcorrected in your eyes?
I think there might be risk for that, yes. But to be honest, when you get this deep into TI, these players are so good, and they're able to find ways to utilize heroes in ways that you wouldn't expect, that I wouldn't be willing to bet anything on it. So yeah.
Yeah, I would back Yandex, and if I look at this draft compared to the last one, I think this is much more comfortable for them. It's much easier. I think their players are better suited to this, and like when you go deep in a TI bracket, being able to fight. Puppy talked about it, we talked about it. Just being able to fight, like sure, they can split push you, but you can't split push to win anymore. It's not TI3, it's TI15. Dota's a different game, and at some point, you gotta knock heads and fight a little bit, and I think Yandex is very well suited to do that.
We'll see if Yandex are suited to do that. If they're able to get the game number 2, we would love to see a game 3. But of course, everything plays out here in this best of 3. We do have Tsunami joined with Yandex's coach.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm joined by Excel, where I had some questions about your mid lane decisions. So we see Slardar get picked. You guys seemed confident it was not going to be a mid lane. You banned out Lina and Invoker in the final phase. If they did pivot the Slardar mid, would that have caused any issues for you?
I mean, I don't think it would be causing any issues because Sunfire is really good against Slardar in mid, and it would be like rough for him to play the game.
And then whenever no one ends up getting the puck, you guys don't have many solutions to a Puck, but Puck seems to be doing very bad this tournament, like 27% win rate. No one's already lost with it twice. So are you worried that you don't have any counters for Puck, or it's just not a good hero?
I mean, it's kind of a free Puck game, I would say. But yeah, just like you said, this hero seems to be successing too much. And I think it's also like very harmless last pick we could get. Like we don't get like stomped on lanes or anything. And yeah, kind of chill.
And then how about your mid lane with the Snapfire pick? We haven't really seen it too much on playoffs. It seemed like more of a group stage flavor. Why'd you decide to bring it back?
I mean, it's good against their suppers and gives us very strong early game with tight hunters, so looks pretty good as a blind pick. So, yeah.
Perfect. Well, let's see if that works out. Excel, good luck in this game number 2 as we send it to our casters.
Thank you very much there, Excel and Tsunami. Game 2 time, ladies and gentlemen, here. We're going to find out if Team Vision's going to be able to make that move to the grand finals with a clean 2-0. If Yandex is going to have something to say about it in this game 2. They've decided to rally around a Luna draft, something a bit different. You know, we're not seeing a lot of lineups trying to go around the Luna. But then that last pick, of course, from Vision, as was discussed there, it is this Puck.
Pretty
and
free.
This hero, as you say, it on paper looks like a free Puck game, but Puck just hasn't been winning.
Nope, not even no one, right? I believe that they're saying 2 losses for him on this hero as well, too, but playing into some pretty limited catch and disable this time around. Bounty, I think one thing that people maybe, you have to consider sometimes too, they were mentioning a little bit on the panel, is this invis bounty with the snapfire. There is this tricky little plays you can do with the shadow walk with the stuns. It's a bit hard to execute sometimes, but I can see them tripping up something like the puck a couple times here for no one. So I think that's the main thing to look at for me is the bounty hunter. There's so many other things. Yes, the Luna is interesting, all this team fight, but it's a Soxa bounty hunter. He has won, I want to say every single game on it throughout this tournament, at least in the main stage. He has been literally the one that's deciding and making so much space.
Yeah,
so
because I feel like if you were going to say, right, we need Saxa to do the most he can in the first 10 minutes of this game, would Bounty Hunter be the top hero for that?
I think so. I mean, it's hard to say because Sox has had some pretty explosive first 10 minutes on a lot of heroes, but this is a different beast, and it gives you so much information when a team is looking to play of this more 4v5 kind of style, have another one TP in afterwards to get some kills. So really curious to see how much Sox is going to be able to do in this game. And have to talk about the team fight as well, too. They did talk about on panel. This time, Yandex, they double and triple down this time to have that, a bit of a better way to be able to fight into Vision, even if they do fall behind.
Can certainly use some of Team Vision's powers against them. They get the positioning for a good curse.
Good curse can be very strong. Good ravage, the kisses as well, too. I feel like Chira on this one feels a little bit safer for him in particular, too, in comparison to the Lina. I'm not sure. That one just felt really rough really quickly for him. No one will juke the first cookie. Does eat a blast, though, and he's taking a big beating in the mid lane. No one. Uphill miss. He'll be okay, but my goodness, takes a ton of damage there from Chira.
And how is this matchup? Is it meant to be a bit of a tough one for the puck early on?
Yep, definitely a bit of a tough one. We'll start to recover, but Snapfire has an 11 base damage advantage or so, has easier ways to play.
Top! They're going to get him. They've got the damage to kill off 9 class before he's successful with that TP. So first blood coming in for Yandex.
I'm happy to see Luna, too. I'm unsure how strong the hero is in particular overall, especially versus Nature's Prophet. That one I'm going to have to see later down the lines because it doesn't sound too great on paper. The Treants are good versus the Eclipse. The distancing with the Nature's Prophet is good versus the Luna, so we'll have to see. But I'm glad that they're trying something a bit new here because Watson, a lot of his heroes were banned. So looking for an extra option to be able to fight early and perhaps get that early advantage that we do want to see them get in this game. I want to see them getting that early advantage, getting objectives, getting buildings, and Luna has traditionally been one of the better ones to do that, like a Terrorblade style, but not as reliant on the Metamorphosis.
Titanic. Kind of low here. Thanks he's going to be able to get the chance to get in on top of him, but Satanic keeping his cool. Only down to the Fairy Fire.
He is being brought very low, though. He's sticking around. Treants are at the ready. He's just going to TP back and come back afterwards. This Tide pick, too, something to talk about versus the Nature's Prophet. Very solid lane, right? Always able to anchor smash the Treants, can just kind of stand there. And this might have been one of the better heroes I've seen for DM in this tournament as well, too. He's had a lot of good ones, but some of his Tide performances have been really nice. He's been a rock for the team. See if he can continue to endure this pressure versus the Treants. As long as he gets the anchor smashed on them, he should be all right. But Satanic, very unlikely to be pressured down here in the lane versus this double melee. Gonna have that free farm, gonna be able to TP and perhaps join it with his allies on these other sides.
Yeah, the lane itself feeling like very similar sort of vibes as last game, right? Whether it be the Lone Druid or the Nature's Prophet. Those extra units, you're gonna have a good time in the CS regardless of what they've got against you.
Something for Yandex, a lot of times I've seen them have success is because of how much DM and Soxa gets out of lane of just outplaying in the lane, right? I don't think I've seen Ducalis and Satanic lose a single safe lane in this tournament. I mean, I could be lying, but I feel like I've seen them win 90% of them at least. So that's going to be definitely slow down the potential that Soxa can do on this Bounty Hunter as well, too. If you can't slow down the NP, your movements don't connect. Could be problematic very quickly. We'll find a courier. Extra bit of money.
Mid lane. Chira Jr. continuing to have that little bit of an edge here against no one.
A couple extra denies coming into play here. Top lane. Malady. TP's coming forward. Satanic's getting involved, looking for Watson as well too. Soxa will come in, but
not a lot you can do.
No.
Just got to sit back and watch Malady get taken down by the rotation of Satanic.
This is always the concern when you're playing versus that NP early. He's free farming in lane, and he can sandwich onto these ranged turret heroes very successfully. It's been one of the best answers versus a lot of these ranged turrets. Saxa is
can mess with him a little bit. Watson's coming over to see if they can get a chance to take him down.
It's very good damage.
He's going to sprout, but he kind of sprouts himself up close to the Luna. So Watson, he'll take that, able to kill Satanic off.
Saxa, we said he has to be that clutch factor for the team coming into play. Really bullying that Nature's Prophet rotation there. Great patience from him.
Any slowdown they can get against Satanic, it's going to feel pretty good, especially after a game where they could barely touch him at all.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just the Nature's Prophet this game, right, too? He's going to have this Bloodlust maxed very early on. Ducalis will get a decent amount of levels because this rotation and Satanic doesn't come back. He's actually higher level than his Nature's Prophet now because of that. Kind of funny, but that does mean that he's going to have this high-level Bloodlust very early on for two really good Bloodlust targets, too, right? It's the Slardar and the Nature's Prophet. Even Puck's is pretty decent, too, so actually 3. Speaking of the Puck, though, no one.
Scatterblast is going to miss, but doesn't matter. The Shadow Walk hit into the Kisses will do it.
I think the Shadow Walk is going to be a bit tricky for the Puck in a lot of situations. Saxa very good at using the double Shadow Walk to get that extra stun as well, too, as we've seen multiple times in his games.
Saxa.
And for more.
Ready to dive in a little bit for 9 class. Chira Jr. stepping up. Doesn't want to look the combo yet. Scatterclap still on cooldown.
Rambles will not connect. Quite off the mark there. I think they would have TP'd the Nature's Prophet if they do connect it there to go for that kill. Won't be able to punish the movement. No one's still not quite level 6. Chira now having an edge.
Definitely getting the feeling already that Sax is going to be able to be much more annoying here in this game too.
Already feeling much more than he did in that last time on the Hoodwink in this early game.
More space. It's going to be there for Satanic. Sax is sort of making these moves up and down the map.
Another move noticed. Will just get poked. Won't be able to commit for him. But Watson, he is getting that free farm this game. Last time he was slowed down a little bit on the Terror Blade in terms of the laning phase, did end up having a very successful farm afterwards, but this time, getting enabled nicely from Saxa. They can leave DM on an island, similar to that Centaur as well too, so yeah, I feel like a lot of the game, it's eyes on Saxa. How much can he get? How many couriers? How many times is he going to be able to shut down no one and give the information?
Further information being given to Carlos is going to start laying down the sentries, wants to try and put a stop to Saxa being able to find this freedom across the map.
It's very pesky. Power Rune, 10 seconds. Finding another courier. All these add up. That extra bit of gold. 250 each time for the team. And Chira will get the bottle too. So it does have the illusion to look for the aggressive play. The reason I like this Snapfire a bit more than the Lina, just because he can play safer from distance versus some of these turret heroes. While the Lina, you kind of put yourself at risks in a lot of times. So I want to see how much more success Chira has in this game as the Snapfire.
Definitely looks to be much more potential and more of a struggle for no one. Again, if just anything, because Puck just has not been doing well. I mean, why do you think that is? You know, why has Puck got such an abysmal win rate this international?
Probably because a lot of these heroes counter him so hard right now, very popular ones. The spirits are, the two popular spirits in particular, right? The Earth Spirit and the Ember are very good versus the Puck as we've seen, so I think that's one of the things for me, but the hero has gotten nerfed as well too, right? That orb cooldown, even though it's 1 second, it hurts. You definitely do feel it when you play it. Teams have also just gotten overall, I feel like, better at playing against it, knowing how to punish it. The scaling from the hero also has, again, been nerfed, right? That 25 talent for some time hasn't existed anymore. It's just harder to make it work in a lot of situations. Some of these other mid heroes, they're just better. They've gotten buffs, this hero's gotten nerfed. Bottom tower, this Chira rotation very successful. We'll be able to get the entirety of the tower here for DM.
Satanic not interested in turning up for any sort of tower defense right now.
Top lane, they want to slow down Noticed. He's getting a bit more than I think they want here. Chira,
they've got the combo. Set up over the Shadow Wall, Lucid Beam to keep him out in the kisses.
Done. Saxa giving the information for the team, and Chira with a quick TP over can get the setup. Chira also this time switching the build up, at least from last time when he's on the Lina. Gonna go for the blink to be able to close that gap, to be more aggressive. On the Lina, he just went for the boots of travel.
Any sort of gap close against Satanic is going to be feeling pretty good early this game.
Yeah, the early burst can be super nice, because Nature's Prophet early can be a bit fragile. Saxa.
The cold embrace. but unlikely to be able to walk away from this one. This Team Vision will finally be able to take Saxa off the map. Being quite annoying for them.
I like this move top in particular. I really like from Yandex because last game I feel like they gave Notice too much. He still is getting a lot on this Slardar, but last game he was almost getting the Blink Dagger now at this point. And it felt like it was a crucial timing that Vision was able to play around. So slowing down this Slardar can be very important because he really is that big playmaker for the team. Closing the gap versus the Luna, closing the gap versus that Snapfire. So if they can stall out Notice the Blink Dagger, that can be very good for their mid-game timings because it's a very strong mid-game draft this time from Yandex to force these buildings, force the team fights. Saxa continuing to scout things out. Is under some sentry wards here. Might just get picked off. We'll dodge the brambles. He's way too fast.
I mean, he's
JK.
so speedy, right, as this bounty hunter.
Yep.
In the river there, going over 600 move speed.
2K lead for the side of Yandex, similar to last time. But I would say, I like the way that they can team fight quite a bit more this time around. Forcing the issue, taking these objectives. Something I do want to see them do as well is take those objectives. I feel like last game they had a window where they perhaps could have tried to force a Roche with the Terrorblade advantage, with the Undying. They just hemorrhaged so many kills so fast around that 20-minute mark. 9 class. Shadow Realm off, they'll be fine.
Bottom lane DM, it's going to be feeling pretty untouchable at this point.
Yep, just occupying the area. His hero this game overall, right? Not much kill threat onto him until the later stages. It's going to be very survivable versus the just the limited burst damage that they do really have for him.
When you sort of hear that there is limited burst in play, I mean, I think it leans more towards why they felt happy to get the Luna this game, right?
I think so.
If you're not 100 to 0ing the Luna, there's good sort of team fight potential for Watson to get a lot done.
And it's a very good Cold Embrace game, right? When you look at it, yes, there's going to be some damage from the Puck and the Willow, but those heroes have to get on top of you in order to do that damage. So yeah, Malady, I feel like he can do a lot this game as this Winter Wyvern, just preventing some of that aggression to come onto his Luna, either from Cold Embrace or from Curse to prevent the Slardar from getting that connection. Because the real threat, the big threat for Watson is that Slardar getting on top of him in the early game. Later stages, sure, Nature's Prophet turreting on top of him can be an issue. Blink, done for Chira. I want to see them be aggressive. See if Saxa can give the information for him to try to find one of these core kills.
I mean, we did see, obviously, last game, the early game, also looked pretty nice for Yandex.
I don't want them to slow down in this game. I want them to keep that aggression going, because already I'm seeing Chira. He's actually behind in net worth versus no one now at this point. No one's just maximizing the farm. Saxa will be able to get some scouting information. Noticed is actually aware of the courier here. Trying to sneak it away from Saxa.
Oh, and I tell you what, he's a step ahead. I think he's going to be fine with this. Out of the side of the... Oh, maybe not. Okay, Saxa, with the persistence, will still succeed, despite Notice best efforts there to try and keep that courier away.
How annoying. And he's actually scouting also that Noticed has the Blink Dagger finished up, so very nice moves from Saxa, giving great information for the team. He knows that the Slardar's not making an aggressive move. They can play chill across the map because of that now. That a lot of this game is going to be eyes on Saxa, how much information he gives.
So far, it's been a lot. Doing everything that we saw him do before when he's been getting his hands on the bounty hunters.
He is very annoying. He's sticking around here. Potentially even looking for if he can go for a wisdom steal as well, too. The game is very slow paced.
Okay, he's not going to get this very likely here with 9 class and Noticed around. Time to let that be here for Vision.
They seem to know that he's still lingering in this area here. They're not really overreacting on the side of Vision either. They're content just hitting the creeps. They do know how hard their lineup scales when you do look at it on paper.
No, he's around, Noticed.
Oh, this time they'll find him.
And he's going to have his eyes on him. Saxa, best he could do is try and make them work.
He got the courier.
And I tell you what, on top of that, indeed, getting another courier. Honestly, he'll take that.
9 class, that was a little lazy by him. He should have been able to move that one there, but either way, Saxa, he'll be happy to take that one. Watson, that farm pace, it's looking pretty solid this time around.
It's looking pretty crazy. This is some pretty insane numbers early on here from Watson on the Luna.
I want to see, like, when Manta comes out, I actually want to see Watson play aggressive. We did see him on the Terrorblade last game, even before the Manta was done, him getting involved. I want to see similar case this game on him. I don't want them to slow down too much versus this Vision draft. If Vision's just able to sit back, get their timings, we know how good this team is at taking their fights.
I mean, here's the Blink Dagger reveal, though. They're going to make a move straight away with the smoke towards Watson. Would be a huge kill to find if they can make the jump.
They seem to know exactly where he is. Is Watson going to see this?
He's tempted to stick around for the camp.
It's got Manta. He looks like he's in a safe position enough now.
Yeah, he should be. Same time, Shiro Jr. able to take down Ducalis on the other side of the map, so Yandex a step ahead, not to get caught out there by Vision's attempt to make a play around the Blink reveal.
Pretty much perfect timing for Watson to get the Manta done too. If he didn't have it there, they might just go for the full chase forward, but not able to get the gap closed. Nighttime as well. Luna, very good at nighttime, to be able to see these smoke movements. Malady, getting baited.
They're going to have the brambles into the fit. Satanic, he'll TP over to be a bit of the action. Cold Embrace, do nothing against the Nature's Wrath of Satanic.
Tower time. They've stalled this tower push a lot, though, on the side of Yandex. The fact that it's 16 minutes in and Vision hasn't been able to claim this tower is a pretty big deal for them. Mid now, DM just going to rotate over, has the consecrated wraps, he's feeling safe.
And he's got a Blink Dagger on the courier.
He does.
So they can take this tier 1 out. And as you can see with Watson's position already moving over to Team Vision's half of the map to find the farm in their jungle, they could group up and try and do something around a Blink Ravage.
I like, the double Blink Daggers, right? Snapfire having it, the Tide having it too. Not easy for Satanic to just walk and join into a fight. He could just die to the magical.
Yeah, this is where Vision are going to be at their weakest this game. So Yandex, they have to try and hit them as much as they can.
Catch.
Cookie connection. He'll get the Shadow Realm off. Shouldn't matter. 9 class taken down. Track kill here for Yandex.
Keep accelerating things. Keep looking for all these kills. If they can get a big core kill, that's the immediate call I want to see them try for a Roshan. Even though their lineup is the absolute...
They might find another here. Eyes on Ducalis. Another track kill coming in for Yandex. So we're going to add up.
And nothing committed. No big spells used. Just small little pickoffs.
They'll look for the dive, but it is under a tier 2. They've got the silence to make sure there's no Cold Embrace or Curse coming in, but can they get back out of this? The track's out onto no one. Further TP's coming in.
They close the gap onto no one. The blink is there from DM. No one, he baits them.
He tries to fake them out with the orb, but with the track persisting, they know exactly where he stands. No one, he's going down. Yandex getting to do exactly what they'd hoped to here in the early game.
Saksa always in the right place at the right time, just getting that little Shadow Walk stun. It is enough to trip up no one. Another death for him. Watson getting that freedom, getting that farm going for himself. I want to see what build he goes for, too. I think it'll just be the standard, right? Just going to go for the Pike. Butterfly BKB kind of style here. But Watson sometimes does throw a little bit of a wrench if it works in some of his builds. So I'm wondering if he is going to deviate from the norm.
River. We catch Saxera. Watson's heading over towards them. Do have the curse and very early timings on these blinks. We're 18 minutes in.
The Wyvern
They've got the triple blink dagger online here for Yandex. So very much going for those early plays, those early team fights, as was to be expected here with this draft.
And playing versus the Nature's Prophet, right? A hero that does not like to get gap closed early on. Satanic is in jeopardy of just getting burst early, but Shira...
And they're trying to dive him in the mid. And they'll succeed. It's going to come in with a counter play. Comes in with a Ravage. Catches notice. They'll get a trade.
There's a Ravage, though. Having to be expended there to get the kill on that slaughter, and they did already lose Chira. Can they get more?
Here comes out. He's going to push back Watson, but Saxa and Malady will still close in on Ducalis.
They can.
Themselves more and more of these track kills.
This time, DM is having a much better game. Last time, he was already starting to be pretty slowed down, it felt like. This time, I'm really liking the way that he's built the wraps into the blink, going for the Aghanims next. He buys a shard in between. This shard can be very annoying for the Slardar in particular in the early game. If Notice just jumps in, can't just get stuck in the fights, can't just get blown up. They're going to need early BKBs on the side of Vision. Similar to last time, at least the Slardar will. We'll see how much Satanic wants to delay.
He wants to go aggressive. Get the Silver Edge online after the Mjolnir Dragon Lance. At least that's what he's got queued up for now.
Okay. It is into track, so they will be able to see him in some situations versus that Shadow Blade, but it does look like he wants to go for that aggression and split push. 7 to 10. 4K lead at the moment for Yandex. 9 class. Gets the destroy.
Cookie not going to quite reach the distance of 9 class, and TP backups come in.
And he disjoints the anchor there. The jump back now.
Yeah, he's able to find the 2 squishies. Gets straight on top of Chira Jr. and Saxa. Very quick with the counterplay there. Yandex coming a little too close to the tier 2 on that one.
That was dangerous for Chira. Last game, he did fall off super hard when he did have 1 or 2 of these deaths like that. This one is reminiscent of the one on the lead-up.
It's true. He's already at the bottom of the course on the net worth.
Don't want to see him making too many more of these mistakes. We're already seeing the gold start to shift. 9 class, and he gets the Shadow Realm as the animation of the anchor is coming in, so it dodges the dead in the water. Causes that entirely to happen there. That was a very painful death for Chira, losing so much momentum. He had just picked up the boot to travel to, didn't have them on him just yet. Gonna slow his game down massively. For no one, he has died twice, but this is a puck game where there's so little disables, then it can get to a point now that he has the blink that he can be safe. Wondering if DM switches build, because I know he had Axe queued. He's got Shiva's queued now, but there's arguments for an early Hex for him. It doesn't sound like there's something you want to always do, but versus the puck, could be something maybe he accelerates into the build as well. Because then no one's game is super hard. Very hard for him to protect himself until he gets an A on disc, so.
That's fair. But I mean, the Shiva does feel just so
It
nice.
does. It absolutely does versus the Slardar.
Nature's Prophet Slardar adds an extra element onto the team fight. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him consider it after. Satanic!
Jump.
Gonna be an easy jump. DM just goes straight for it, drops the Ravage. That's the carry gone. A little bit of a surprise there for Satanic. He did not expect that one bit, but underneath that tier 1 on the top lane, honestly, one of the riskier positions I feel like I've seen Satanic in.
There. Yeah, I'm surprised he was actually farming there. They'll punch him, and they go for the roast threat. It's only 30 seconds when without Ravage, maybe they're thinking they can't just force it.
Maybe just sort of a moment of a lack of focus there, getting caught out in a very unsatanic sort of way.
He better go BKB as that next item, though, after the Silver Edge. I'm seeing he just switches and queues it up. Definitely needs it this game versus the Tide, versus the Snap. We'll just die to the magical damage.
Yandex keeping on this good trajectory with Watson in prime position, ready to go for the butterfly next.
He's keeping himself ahead in pace over Satanic pretty decently here. He's queuing a couple different items. I also want to still see him get the...
That's true.
I want either...
BKB.
I want BKB Butterfly in particular. That's what I want to see from Watson this game. It feels like it answers a lot of what they're playing against. Saxa...
He's got friends. Not really a whole lot the Vision can do on the aggressive here. I mean, it looks like they're looking at some sort of chance.
Noticed in the back lines. Very sneaky positioning.
Maybe if they can get the jump on a Malady. Two-man crush will give them a pretty good shot, but is it good enough? Yes, with the Nature's Wrath it is. They're able to take out the 2 supports, get the sprout on Achira. The backup collapses him very quickly this time from Vision.
And there's nothing you can do to predict that. Notice just comes out of nowhere and actually able to set up for the Tormentor, something we almost never see Vision do in this tournament, but it's so natural for them this game. It just progressed right into it.
And that was very nicely done there by Vision. Yandex, they were not expecting for that sort of jump in to come in as quickly as it did. And for Vision to just be able to turn up like that.
Chira's falling behind so hard, Owen. Concerns for him. Even though Watson's having this explosive game again, the Snaps game just has fallen off a cliff.
It is looking like Watson's going to have to carry pretty hard. You know, sort of between Watson and the ravages of DM.
And Watson will be able to find a snag here onto Ducalis. Can he get more?
Gonna try. Satanic already sneaking away with the Shadow Blade.
Okay.
Now that they just get that delivered, it's gonna save his life.
I think this is a game where Watson can't make any mistakes.
And he has
to play this perfect, and he has so far.
He has kind of hyper carried games before. Right?
Sure has.
He has done so here on the main stage. Can he do it here with his Luna?
He's got BKB. I don't want them to stall too long for him because the matchup of the Luna versus the Nature's Prophet,
gets harder.
It does get harder and harder as the game progresses.
Especially because this Nature's Prophet has a Slardar and an
a
Ogre.
Bloodlust.
You know, they've got all these ways to sort of enable the Nature's Prophet and make sure that the matchup goes even more favorably for him in those team fights. So definitely on a bit of a timer here. Yandex
Silver Edge.
at the bottom. They're going to make the jump on a DM indeed with the break from Satanic. They take DM down easily.
Big
the
brain.
team around Watson, they are starting to crumble. Everything might just have to look towards this Luna.
I mean, this Silver Edge is such a big brain pickup, right? Sure, it sounds kind of obvious when you're playing versus the Tidehunter, but DM in particular, this game has no threat until that Silver Edge comes out, and that's exactly the kill they need to open things up massively, because this is a Tide who has Ravage. They're able to just kill him and reset without any too much of a big commitment here. No one now also, he has the Aeon Disc already finished up. He's 3,000 ahead of Chira Jr. now at this point, so even if a Hex does come out, he'll have that protection for the next move. Early days, even though it's only a 1K lead, but Vision very good at playing with just even that small lead, knowing exactly how to play around the map.
It's sort of what happened before in game one, right? Yandex, they were allowed to kind of get this 4 or 5K lead. Similar things happening here in game two. But when it started to slip away, they never were able to reclaim control of that.
Have to start to get Chira back into this game somehow. He can't die before he gets his next BKB. They're going to smoke him, but it's under a ward, and it does get seen.
And as you say, it is that risk before he has the BKB done.
And look at no one. Blinks in, breaks the smoke. He's got the Aeon Disc anyway, so even if he does get caught, was safe. And they don't even know where it came from. Like, wait, where the hell did he break the smoke? Because he did that fancy orbed backwards, blinked on top of them. And look at Satanic. I've seen him do this many times when he's playing his Nature's Prophet also. Look at the trees on the map. 1, 2, 3, 4 camps were just 4 camps were just blocked by him. So preventing that extra farm for Watson.
Then go for the jump hit. From Wars 9 class. We'll make them work for it with the Yules. Won't be able to get the fear off. They take 9 class out. Ideally, they need to try and find a way to bring this team fight to Satanic.
Yeah, I mean, for Yandex, they need to get a kill into just leading them into a Roche, ideally, to get that advantage back into their favor. Gem now picked up for Ducalis after having his Midas picked up. He's starting to farm, starting to be able to hit these creeps. Yeah, watch the Treants. So watch what Satanic does with them. Sending 1 to the Ancients, 1 to the hard camp. I believe he's going to be able to block at least 2 of the camps here. But this is so annoying. He does this every game when he plays the Nature's Prophet, preventing that extra farm.
So, Sax has been found.
This is dangerous days. The Bloodlust is so good on these on the cores.
It really is.
And Chira, is he about to get soloed by Satanic?
I think he might be. This TP is not going to do him any good. No one comes in to borrow the kill. Satanic will give him a tip for that. Excuse me.
He's like, that's my solo kill. Uh-oh, and this Snapfire, it's truly falling off a cliff here. Yandex not able to find a position where they can force a big kill, get that Roche, get the advantage going for themselves. It looks like they're starting to feel that pressure.
They are. I mean, as we keep saying, Watson's going to have to do something insane.
Watson.
He is going to have to do some of the biggest carrying that he's done in this tournament to try and get Yandex through this game 2 and try and force a game 3.
Butterfly timing is going to be the big one for him, but noticed now he has a full nullifier as well, too, for these aggressive plays. Chira does at least have the BKB finished up now, but yeah, it's come out pretty late. And yeah, the tip comes out because this is just blocking the
I was going to say, even then,
he's blocking everything.
He nearly was able to clear them out so he could get the Ancient Camp, but still not quite able to fully unblock it. I think even himself having to being sort of found in position on top of it whilst he was killing the last tree. And there was very annoying stuff here for Watson.
I mean, there was multiple games I've watched from Satanic where he literally just blocking 4 or 5 camps at a time. It's super annoying to play against. Because, Watson, he had the edge of this extra farm over him, but now it's starting to close that gap with these little extra moves and just the map shrinking for Watson in particular. When he's got Butterfly, they better go for a fight on
I would imagine so, right?
I would imagine they have.
Because they have the team fight. They have this Ravage.
They do.
Curse. Getting, just buying time to get the Luna in position.
It's just Chira's fallen. He's level 16. He actually doesn't even have the BKBO, and I thought he did have it on the courier. It's still not even finished for him.
And that death slowed him down a little bit extra.
And no one is level 20 with a full Parasma with the Aeon Disc too, so he's got the protection. His damage is high now at this point. And just the lack of disables for him is going to be apparent. Sox looking for something here. He's got Blink up.
Yeah.
Oh, the orb a little early.
They're going to go for the curse.
Might be able to get him. He's got Aeon Disc, though.
Have a look. We'll get popped. Ducalis dying to the kisses. The orb's back up, though. No one should. No, it's not by the anchor. All right, DM able to fully lock him down. Not a bad move at all there.
little bit
Very
of-
nicely done. Gem secured.
A bit of a slip up there from no one. The jaunt only a few, just a small little jump there. Is that the option for them to go for this Rosh? I think you go. On Yandex, I think you want to just immediately run to this Roshan, try to get that advantage building for yourself after this kill. The biggest kill they found in the last 5 minutes or so.
I mean, the thing is, they can also obviously push objectives for it.
Oh, the Rosh is shifting. Sorry. So they're going to have to wait for it anyway.
Get the
They're going to
tier
push
two.
first and then perhaps back up, but the puck's going to be back in time.
I mean, they kill it pretty quickly, but maybe not quick enough to try and force it in that window. We'll see what move they want to try.
Playing around Watson with this butterfly, though. Getting that tier 2. They've got a solo crest to buff him up to. I like this formality this game. One side's got a bloodlust. You got to be able to counteract it somehow. 20 seconds, no puck. Do they start to force it? They're going to smoke instead. Look to catch him off guard again. His Aeon Disc will be back up pretty much when he is back up. But perhaps trying to catch Vision off guard here with this movement.
Still have the Ravage and the Eclipse.
Treants being sent to scout. He was expecting that Roche. Can't get the catch. Roche on time.
They want
He's
to
going to be
try
scouted
it,
though.
yeah, despite the fact that Titanic had the info with the Treant in there.
Watson kills it so fast and super safe. Will lose 0 HP.
I mean, it looks like they're not making any initial moves over here, so Yandex may just be allowed to claim this Roshan for free.
This is really nice. Getting the gem, taking that away from no one, getting a Roshan. Saxa will end up surviving.
He's going to be fine. Yeah, Notice doesn't want to stick around too long to try for a bounty kill.
Notice?
Because he knows he might not have a chance of getting out. Has to put the BKB to try and run.
He's still being chased, though.
They're going to continue to chase him. He's going to try and turn and take the anchor out. The BKB's about to come to an end, and nobody's coming to save him. Notice gone.
Great kills. Another track, too.
And now, Aegis on the Luna. Watson ready to, I would imagine, lead the charge, try and take some tier 2s. Maybe even try and pressure for more around the ultimates.
He's close to Satanic. He pretty much has it done, actually. Continuing to get that scaling, and Cheer now starting to catch back up here at this point as well. And the Snapfire does have a plate mail. They give him the gem, so he's protected to check out these wards.
At the end of the day, as long as he's able to sit back and get those kisses out to follow up the Ravage or the Curse, he's still going to be able to do his job.
Keeping this one much closer than that last game.
They really are.
Rallied around Watson. That is the Satanic finished up, so he is having a bit of that edge over Satanic, a full item here. Satanic has to go for the MKB, so we'll take him a little more time to be able to get that Satanic himself versus the Luna. Chira with the BKB.
Yeah, very quick with the BKB TP there. No messing around for Chira.
Important that he survives too, because he does have that gem. If he gets brought down, can be dangerous in terms of map control for the next few moments. Teams matching each other with the moves. Blink on Ducalis. He's the one queuing up the Hex himself. Very powerful timing when it does come out. It will take a long time though. Let's see how much Yandex can get done. With this Aegis still 3 minutes on
they
it.
can, at least, yeah.
Get the tier 2s, all of them.
Top lane. Cannot afford to slow down. Titanic. Still a few thousand behind that of Watson.
Saxa is limiting the map a bit for Satanic to play in his usual places, though. That is the thing that this bounty always does in these games. This invisible impact that we talk about is it's not safe to go for these very aggressive, like usually that would be safe positions for you to farm in. This bounty is running around looking for somebody. If he does find Satanic even once in a wrong position, could just kill him. And speaking of Satanic, he's actually really looking for something here onto Chira. Noticed is in the area. Chira gonna show himself. He's not. And that's what Shiva's done. So decent recovery here for Chira after a bit of a slowdown for him. He's going to have that extra armor. Bigger globs too, but the smoke vision, they're also keen to fight now. Into this Aegis still for 2 minutes. How they want to approach it.
Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower.
How much do they want to try and push this high ground?
I think he's gonna at least poke. He has 2 minutes on this Aegis here.
I mean, just see what sort of happens. One. Step back there away. They get the break
DM.
to DM. DM's getting focused down here by the damage of Satanic. He's dead on the high ground.
He doesn't respect the Silver Edge at all.
It destroys him.
Oh, that was a very over-aggressive play.
Satanic, he's ready to try and push on for more. They look towards Watson. The curse comes in. Will lock down the three of them. Keeps Watson alive a little longer here on this first life. Still, the Aegis will get taken away from it. Round
buyback.
2.
DM comes back with a buyback.
They haven't got any control for no one. No one's going to be able to orb away back to safety. Comes up to the high ground here with the Waning Rift. DM did buy back for this short notice. Is dead for 80. Do Yandex still want to try and push the high ground though without the Aegis?
They do because the BKB is on cooldown for Satanic. They're trying to force things because they have Ravage still.
It's true. DM has to be careful, but at the same time, if he sees a chance to get in with the Ravage, he will go for it.
They can just full commit onto Satanic because he doesn't have the BKB if they do see an opportunity.
He's so careful about how he shows himself. Watson. The barracks, Tyradrin in with the jump. They get the full combo on Wolves 9 class. That's the Dark Willow gone.
Nicely done. This looks like it should be that Rax cleanup.
They're getting the objectives here, Yandex. The full set taken away top. They swing over to the mid. Satanic, he'll show himself.
Ravage.
There's the counterplay. DM's in with the Ravage, but where's the follow-up?
There's no one with him.
Goes in on him. And now the 5 blast down on the DM. They'll try and cook him back to safety. Watson attempts to step up in with the Eclipse, but 9 class has the control with the Yules. Watson starting to back away, pops the Manta and runs. Notice in with the crush, with the fear. Catch anyone immediately. TM goes for the ghost.
Satanic,
in.
right in the middle of the wall.
Watson just turns over towards him. He's dead. They kill Satanic off.
They have a vision on him there. He just TP's right in the middle of it.
Very aggressive move there from Satanic.
He didn't have. If he had BKB ready, I could see why he would do that.
It
one,
was still
but he's
called
like
out for
desperate.
like 15 seconds.
They're making them feel desperate at that TP forward.
You cannot TP up this close and personal to the Luna. Watson's just going to be able to turn and destroy you. They use 2 buybacks as well there.
They did.
On Team Vision.
But
they do not get a whole lot at all. They lose the full set of racks top. And Yandex, they even look at a strike again. Saxa, Chira Jr. seeing if they can find anyone out on their own.
DM's buyback ends up being pretty beautiful there because they get a full Rax advantage because of it there. And Satanic, a rare, just full TP forward.
A very, very risky play. He did not have the BKB backup. TP's into the middle of the fight under the assumption that that sort of position. I guess he felt that maybe they wouldn't have their full vision on him or something, but I don't know. That's maybe the pressure getting to him a little bit in this game as Team Vision, they're getting tested a bit.
Smoke up, 25 seconds until he does respawn. There is no Aegis now for Watson. Scouting out DM. 9K lead now for the side of Yandex.
They're feeling very good right now, Yandex, but of course, as they know, against Team Vision, still far from over.
Watson now has hit the level 25. His damage is really starting to increase, and I believe he does also have the full data list now for the next fight. Satanic might not be able to stand his ground versus him.
They're going to kill him so quickly.
He's almost 2 items behind now versus this Luna.
Yeah. Watson, as we said, he had to come into this game very clearly coming into the mid game. You know, it needed to be flawless from Watson, and so far it has been.
And look what he's found himself to, an amp damage in the top side.
Carlos caught outside of the base. He's out for 50. Does have the luxury of buyback. Watson ready to move down the mid.
And Chira's made the full recovery in this game. He's able to play the backline, follow up with the kisses. It just feels easier to play the snap from behind than the Lina. The Lina just feels very dangerous and very threatened. Seeing him have much more success. Push is coming in.
One. Jump forward. Does Ravage straight away. They get the jump on a Satanic. Satanic is immediately caught. DM immediately with the Ravage. Puts a stop to Satanic. He has got the buyback available. Likely going to need to use it. Dead for 90.
No
and Yandex, they're going to be ready to push on for another set of barracks here.
I love that DM does that. The point blank Ravage. Do not give him an opportunity to get that BKB off. Burst, it's there. Watson just gets right on top of him.
And at this point, no, catching Satanic, that will do it each and every time with these moves. And honestly, it does feel like I'm kind of seeing why
the puck's damage isn't there.
I don't even know. It just feels like the puck can't really do much. I mean, you know, no one, he's got the farm and stuff, but I'm seeing these orbs flying around. doesn't seem to do anything at all. I don't think Yandex even care what this puck's doing.
It's not the puck of the past. It just jumps in and feels like it can 1v5 in a way. Not by any means. The supports are just too strong too. Like some of these times, for Malady, the Wyvern, that's where the difficulty be when you're playing versus this puck. But Malady has gotten the space to get this Aeon disc too. They actually can't even get to the back lines because of how strong the front line is of Yandex as well too. These moments, massive for them. And Chira now, he has the Hex himself. He's made the full recovery in comparison to no one. Now he's got the lockdown as well to follow up. This next hit could be the end of the game here.
Now, we'll make sure he holds on to the buyback gold here on Satanic. Very much needing it. If they do kill him and he's not able to come back into the action, the base will get taken away from them.
He's gotten no growth, though. Look at that. In the last 5 minutes, he's gotten, what, two? I mean, now he old, so he gets up to 600, but he had like 200 gold gain in the last 5 minutes or so. Unable to get much of anything. And perhaps, yeah, like that invisible factor of the bounty. He can't go for these type of crazy plays where he's farming. No teams have been able to deal with Sox's bounty hunter in this one. Perhaps looking like they can take it as well, too, on the side of Yandex. Ravage coming back up in 10 seconds. Yandex, they'll wait for that before the next fight. Roche in about 90 seconds.
They have to just find some sort of way to ensure that Satanic is not caught by that Ravage.
I'm wondering what the next... I guess it's going to be a Hex from Ducalis. He does almost have it done to give them that extra team fight, because you're absolutely seeing that lackluster team fight in comparison from the side of Vision now at this point. Much more single target oriented.
Next, starting to approach again here. All the ults ready to press.
No one. He is outside. Won't be able to jump him just yet.
Yandex, are you waiting for Roche?
Yeah. Unless you catch somebody outside. You should just probably wait for that Roshan. You're still getting so many gains out of the map. Watson now having a 10k difference between him and Satanic.
That's crazy. Watson is, I mean, he has had quite a few games like this where he has been absolutely in his prime.
But nobody else has done this on the Luna this tournament, which is very impressive.
And not a lot of carries daring to try it, really.
DM.
Unclass trying to make a bit of a setup onto him.
Trying to force some reaction.
Oh, no one jumps in, but he means, and he gets caught by the Hex. The curse is failed to lock him down.
He's
into
on.
the cookies, no one's out. Immediate reactions there.
And the curse dispelling the Aeon disc as well, too. That's why he pops it instantly, just to prevent that ability of the save.
Yeah,
very smart there.
Absolutely, because he doesn't sort of sit back and go, oh, we got him with the Hex, don't need to do anything. No, make sure that everything required is thrown down onto the puck to ensure he is not getting out.
Yeah, that basic dispel is very important versus something even like that Aeon disc, because maybe no one could play his way out of that one somehow because of it.
Roche timing, hitting perfectly for them here. Aegis on Watson once again.
A hell of a game from him, truly. He said he had to make 0 mistakes. He's made 0 mistakes. It does feel like this time around.
Yeah, absolutely perfect carry play from Watson. And on the other side of things, Satanic, a rare game where a few struggles and a few sort of mispositioning in these team fights. Got to be careful. If they see him, they'll go for him. He'll get the BKB off this time. The reaction's there.
But the damage.
Once it turns over to Watson, Satanic's got to keep his distance. The kisses are going to zone him. He'll have to head back to the fountain to heal up. Ducalis under heavy fire here from Watson. He'll fall. He's out for 50. No one at the side has been caught out by the stars.
He's full control.
He's coming in. Satanic's going to move forward to try and help out, but the Eclipse is going to get laid
He's
down.
dead.
Satanic, he's gone. He'll buy back. But Vision, they're going to have to try and defend with just the 4 of them. There's Ground.
Fight going.
Allergy's healing sacks are up. No one's trying to finish him off, but no one. Phase shift off in time. DM. Oh, but the Crush trying to get away from Satanic, but Satanic will finish him.
No one is still alive somehow.
Sprout out to Watson. That gets taken down as soon as he comes out of the phase shift, not able to jump over to the orb. He's dead for 2 minutes. That was a dieback on him. See 9 class trying to bully the support, but the support, they've got backup. DM jumps in. Watson's here, ready to clean up 9 class. As Watson ready to continue the push here. Down the mid, the buyback comes out here from Night Class.
They're looking to end it.
They're ready to throw out their buybacks as well to try and shut this game 2 down and keep the pressure on whilst no one's out for 100 seconds.
Buying a small Vlad's even for Soxa to keep the push going. They want to close this one up. 3 minutes still on the Aegis.
Trying some sort of way to keep Watson off the base, but it's not working. Watson ready to slide in and look towards them. Noticed is gone. He's out. Night Class to fall. As Yandex cleaning up the final set.
Panic.
Takes onto Satanic. Shira Jr.
They got him.
Take him out.
GG.
This game's over. We're going to a game 3.
What a performance.
As
from
Yandex, they needed a level up here in this game 2. They absolutely did. They rallied perfectly around Watson, who came in and gave us a show-stopping Luna performance, 13-0-8. You cannot ask for more from your carry.
Can't ask for more from your carry, and yet again, the Soxa Bounty Hunter cannot be beaten. The small information he's gathering, just beautiful stuff from the team. Great plays from them, and honestly, also, right, like you said, Owen, the puck continues to disappoint.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing that one again this series. I don't think it's coming back in game 3. A tough one there for no one. That 27%, probably 26%, some quick maths, win rate after that one. Not showing us any other reason to believe that hero can kind of fight that win rate. It's not looking great.
They clutched it up. Really like the way that they played the map this time around, completely constricting and controlling, getting the Roshan, playing the objectives. This time, they didn't let go of that pedal. They kept putting their foot on it, didn't let that space come out for Vision.
Yeah, Yandex striking back hard after being knocked down in game 1. We go into a game 3 here in this upper bracket final. 1-1 right now between Yandex and Team Vision.
And that's the joy. That was what we were all hoping for. The fact that we would get to see a game 3, get to see Yandex come back, have control, and be able to apply that pressure in the way that they were able to for game 2. It was just phenomenal. We already said it. We know that their laning stage is strong, Quinn. We know that they're a team that can apply pressure, but are you able to overcome the hurdles and the challenges that Vision throw at you to be able to close it out? This time around, their draft was phenomenal, and they were successful in that.
Yeah, I think it's the exact kind of game that defines a TI run. You are ahead early, you fumble a little bit, the game is shaky, the game is on even terms, and you clutch it out, you win some big fights, and you win the game. That's the kind of thing you need, the kind of gumption to stick to it even whenever it's tough that lets you win. Aiden talks about it all the time. On the runs, you don't think about these close games. Whenever, you know, if they win the Aegis, they're not going to look back on this and think like, oh, it was so close. Everyone will be like, oh yeah, they beat Vision, and blah, 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 blah. But no, it was on thin ice, and they clutched it up, and that's what matters.
And gumption is a very good word for it, because at some point it did feel like they were letting slip of their lead. They were letting slip of that early tempo that they tried to set, and they just didn't overreact. They didn't make any moves that would have been overcorrecting for maybe giving away a pickoff here and there, losing their snap here and there, and they just waited for their timings, and they executed it very cleanly in this game.
Yeah, I honestly have no clue what gumption means, but probably was the perfect word to describe what we saw. I mean, this game, what's really cool, and I feel like the story of the series has been, whichever team has a stronger team fight, whichever team is able to play those 5v5s, has ended up coming on top. I was watching in the green room thinking like, oh my god, this is an amazing puck game. I've seen Nisha do it time and time again, where he just split pushes the map, they cut waves, you delay the game, and eventually you're just this unkillable raid boss. But Yandex just didn't give them time to do that. They decided to take it straight up to the high ground. I believe they had a 2k lead the first time they walk up high ground, which is unheard of in modern Dota. That's not what people tend to do. Usually, you don't see that until 80k ahead. So, amazing gameplay from Yandex. They were able to recognize their timing is right now, and they went for it, and they clutched it out.
Yeah, 13-0-8. Like, it's not easy to do that. I totally agree. Whenever the game is even like that, especially kill score, the vibe of the game, you've sort of been on the losing foot, and that affects your mentality and how the game feels. And so to have the Chad energy to say, we're going to walk up anyway, that is really, really difficult. Like, it looks difficult, but it's even harder when you're actually clicking the buttons.
Yeah.
Everyone doing so well on the side of Yandex, and I know it's very easy to look at a 13-0-8 Luna there, and obviously everything else that went that well for them, but the Bounty Hunter, again, I think is so pivotal in what helped them in that early game, and another win on the main stage for this hero too. Like, you cannot overlook it anymore. You try and call Yandex's bluff when you're Team Vision, and you go, we're going to let it in, we're going to think maybe a little bit of a fraud check, see if you guys are actually that comfortable on it. You can't do that again. You cannot do that in a game 3.
Saxa is absolutely the guy that you do not want to give this hero to. He devastated, again, a lot of that laning stage, and he was able to catch people off guard. There was this one moment where Satanic came through the gate to try to pressure Watson, and Saxa was there. They caught him at that gate and killed him, and little moments like this add up to making Watson that pivotal force that he was. You can see in his score, 13-0-8, his GPM was 1,058. It feels like he's had 1K GPM this entire tournament in Sanya.
I mean, Watson has been unbelievably impressive. I think, like, we've talked about it, so I won't go too much into it, but he is honestly showing why he has been ranked 1 for so long. I think what's really cool now, though, is that the draft script kind of changes now, because we were in a position coming into this game where we were doubting, like, okay, you're banning 2 heroes on Yandex that you potentially could be first picking. And now they've managed to prove that, you know what, we don't need that 1 hero. This bounty hunter is crucial for us. And once the bounty hunter ban comes out, Quinn talked about it earlier, it gives them something else. Now, you're going to get your Invoker, or maybe your Enigma is on the table again, or you get the SF. So you're going to get something else that you previously didn't have in your pocket.
And to talk about another reason why I think this bounty hunter really succeeded, and it's because they were able to pick this Tide as well for DM. And I think it's really cool that they did this, because not only did Tide have a really good lane against the first pick Furion that you saw, having a hero like that can self-sustain is what activates Bounty Hunter in the early game. If your Bounty Hunter has to sit on your lane, drag waves, try to snipe couriers for you to make it somewhat tolerable, you can't really get maximum value out of that hero. But because DM was on this Tide, he was able to move around. And outside of that, this Tide became kind of a problem in the map. I think it was very cool how they used him. He got that first item, Consecrated Wraps, just parked himself on lanes, and they couldn't run into him. They couldn't bring the heroes to take him down, so they just had to avoid him on Team Vision.
Yeah, it's a problem that you don't really have ways to deal with. And I think if you look at the way Vision pick their heroes and the way they strategize this game, it's very focused around Satanic. They've got Ogre buffing him. They've got Corrosive Haze for him to hit. They've got Puck to keep people controlled, which is typically the way Yandex structures their draft, right? It's all around Watson, and they're experienced at doing that. I think they've had great results doing that. Whereas Vision, we've talked about it, I think they do better whenever everyone sort of has their own way to shine, and they get to show their each person's individual skills. And when they focus all their eggs in the Satanic basket, I don't know, I think the basket broke a little bit this game.
There was a lot of weight on the Nature's Prophet's shoulders to do so much in this, especially when we go back to this Puck. I feel like we cannot overstate how rough of a game this Puck is, just in general, a TI a Puck is having right now. The win rate looking really rough, but it was so confidently called by Yandex's coach, Axel. He was saying that it's a harmless Puck pick. In fact, Puck in itself is quite harmless. And you can see it. It's reflected in a lot of different ways where you would expect with that little bit extra XPM, that little bit extra GPM there, that we would have seen more coming out from no one's Puck. But there were still ways, despite the side of Yandex not having instant stuns and reliable stuns, there were still ways that they were able to ensure that he wasn't as slippery as a Puck loves to be.
I mean, I think it does speak to the state of the hero currently that he can be picked in a game where there are no instant disables against him and still not be let through. Axel said that, yeah, technically it's a free Puck game, but we don't care. It's the most harmless pick we could have let through, and that's what we saw. I think no one couldn't really get that much done, to be honest. Maybe it's the fault of not being able to run into this Tidehunter, again, tying it back into the draft, but there were some weird decisions here and there. I don't think the Aeon Disc, for example, served that much purpose in this game.
I think no one, to be honest, amazing mid laner, but Puck just doesn't seem to be his most, comfortable hero either, which in a situation like this where Puck isn't that strong, even though it's a free game for it, maybe when in a patch where Puck is more powerful, he would be able to pull it off. But he's not a specialist Puck player like Mikoto or Nisha or some of these other players that have been here at TI. So I think probably stay away from that hero moving forward.
Yeah, I think it also speaks to the understanding of a hero, and sometimes the counters are less obvious than it would seem. In this game, they don't have ways to kill the Puck, but they have ways to beef up and be super tanky so that Puck can't kill you, and you reach a point eventually where you can buy the item called Hex, and it gives you the disable to kill the Puck, and so there's a timing window where, okay, Puck has Blink and he has Witchblade, and you can't deal with him, he's a nuisance. But if you wait 5 minutes longer, now there's a Hex, and he spends his next 3.5k gold on Aeon Disc, he throws it down the toilet, it does no damage, and you can run out of damage in these fights. And I think we see it where Yandex jumps in and they go on them, and Satanic is hitting, and Puck is hitting, but nobody is dying, and eventually Yannex's damage just pushes through.
Yeah, you've run out of solutions. You've run out of answers there. But fret not, especially for you guys at home. You're going to get the joy of a game number 3. But before that, if you're here in the arena or if you guys are wanting to do it online, there is the secret shop that is still open. There's so many goodies and adorable goodies at that. We have the little froglings. This one's got the... I don't really have a shoulder to put it on, but you can... He sits on your little shoulder. You got your courier Quinn.
His name is Jimothy. He is mine.
I don't think you can name him. He's not actually yours.
No, I named him.
Okay, it's Jimothy. You got Roshan next to you?
I got Little Bro Roche. It's Little Bro Roche right
Little pup.
What do I have?
The mugs.
Here, have this guy.
You can have Lager.
Have this Johnson.
Yay! Bull Belly Blitz.
Is that your favorite of his 3?
I think so. Actually, I like Hot Feet Hustle.
I was going to say, I think Hot Feet Hustle is my favorite.
Probably.
It's up there. It's up there. But there's a lot of things. Yeah, mugs, so many plushies, T-shirts. Yeah, merch galore. So make sure you guys head out and check out the secret shop as well there. And we can look back at what game number 3 might have in store for us here. The winner here going to grand finals of TI-15. It's crazy to think that you are one game away. We had that pretty heartbreaking interview earlier from Sumail where, just 12 hours ago, 24 hours ago, they were one game away from making it to top 3. I feel like there might be a similar sentiment for a team that feels that they don't make it all the way to a grand finals when it comes to Vision and Yandex. You come in as heavy favorites for this tournament. For Yandex, you struggle a little bit. For Vision, it feels like it's been mostly smooth sailing. And so to put it all in a game 3 to make it there, I got to wonder who stands up, who is going to be that slight bit more confident.
Yeah, it's the most important thing, genuinely. All the draft and the gameplay, these things matter a great deal, but the vibe, the environment, how they feel backstage, how they think they're going to play, they're imagining how they want the game to pan out. These things are so incredibly important. It's a skill that is very difficult to create, but you can see the conversations backstage. People do these things in different ways. Sometimes you want to be involved in the conversation and talk and be energetic. Other people want to recede into themselves and think and go to a different place that allows them to focus on themselves. There's so many different ways to approach it, but it's up to each individual player and the team as a whole to focus on what really matters.
And to fill that role for either team, again, we have to talk about Saksa and how he's able to unify them in moments like this with his veteran experience.
I would say right now, if anything, probably Team Vision are very happy that they were in this position yesterday against Spirit because they dropped that game 2, which was, I think it's always a tough position where you win game 1 and then you lose game 2 and it's a high pressure stakes game 3 because I think the team that wins the previous game usually comes in with a slightly better mental state. Like you don't have to reset the same way that the losing team does. So they have this experience yesterday and they managed to pull it off, and they pulled it off in fantastic fashion against Spirit. So I think for them, it's nice to have had that experience yesterday.
Yeah, I fully agree. And I think it's also impressive for Vision, a team that I think if you look back earlier in this team's history, they had a bit of a tilty vibe. Like if they started losing, I think they would keep losing and the game would crumble. But they've shown that to not be the case in any of their games in this tournament. There have been many games where they mess up a couple of fights. Even the game 1 in this series, they were down some gold, but they're okay and they stay strong. They had the fast GG in game 2 against Spirit yesterday. Once again, they bounce back, they win game 3. I think this team is different than they used to be, and I think they've improved a lot of fortitude. And so while I agree there's a slight sort of emotional vibe advantage for Yandex, it's nothing that I think Vision can overcome.
The growth that has occurred between both of these rosters throughout the year, obviously Vision, last TI, they had a top 3 finish for themselves, and it's crazy to think that they have an ex-teammate on the other side, and whilst you both have secured at minimum a top 3, you want to take it that one step further, and you want to be the person that it isn't a right or wrong situation, but justified in the move that was made, knowing that your teammates are that slight bit better than what you left behind, that the fact that you could advance and be in a position that those who you used to play with aren't going to get to be in. And so much more rides on in this game 3 that you're hoping when they enter the booths, whilst that is a fire that burns underneath them, it's not what sits there at the forefront of their mind.
But it definitely is pushing them a little bit, right? You want to be the one who was correct in your decision. You want to say, if you're at Yandex, that we were absolutely right for taking DM. And you want to, if you're Vision, say, look at that, Noticed is a beast and you guys lost. You know, that does inspire them a little bit. I think even Ducalis had his player profile. He has like a meme of...
It's like Saksa kicking Notice.
Kicking Notice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I haven't seen this.
I've seen it. So his player profile is literally that meme of this player getting kicked, and it's just hilarious to me.
There's definitely some tension there. Like, I mean, you can even see it at the end of game 1. I think no one tips DM, and there's no tip back. It's not like a friendly tip. This is a, hey, you lost. like I'm coming after you kind of tip. I think you can feel that. To be honest, I think there is definitely an extra level of competition here, and especially with that offlane swap, I think there's a lot of no. I was the right one. Like who was right and who was left is a classic Dota story, and I think this is the manifestation of that in modern times.
Also, anyone that tells you that they don't care about beating their previous teammates is just straight up lying. There's always that extra fire when you play against somebody that old teammate of yours, whatever like that. I think in this case especially because like. Obviously, DM wasn't utilized in the right way on Vision, and Notice wasn't utilized in the right way on Yandex, and they both had like differing opinions from the team. So being swapped over and then now feeling like we found our home and we're being able to play to our maximum potential, that for sure is like lights a fire on you, and you definitely want to prove that your way of playing it is better than the other guys.
Yeah, and since we bring up the swap, like I do want to talk about both of these players a little bit in this series because I do think that DM has delivered today and yesterday, and he's kind of gone a little bit under the radar. His axe yesterday was really good and part of the reason why they were able to clutch that game 3. And in this game too, his Tidehunter, while his role wasn't very flashy, and it wasn't like the end-all be-all, it was the reason why Watson was able to go 13-0 on Luna.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's on the biggest stage. It's in the most important game. It's down 1. Like, I think if you're not able to shine in those moments, then when are you going to shine? And he has. And I think they will need him too in the future because the pressure is on. This next game is only harder. And that's why TI is so exciting, right? We talked about Simel's exit interview. And the reason why TI is the coolest tournament is because everybody cares so much. It just matters more. And that just creates for way more exciting and awesome games.
The pressure is on. The pressure is definitely felt by these players in whatever regard and whichever which way you want to point it there. And so when you look at a game number 3, we thought Saxa would be that voice for the side of Yandex. Is there one that sticks out for you, Insania, when you see the lineup of Vision? Who would be that voice?
I think outside of the game, it's definitely Puppy. And I think Puppy probably centers them a lot coming into games like this. I think knowing that they have Puppy behind him and knowing that he's been here so many times. And he's done it before. It just gives him confidence. I think whatever he says, he has like that aura buff of having all these results in the past. That whatever he says, it's going to speak to them and they're going to trust it. And then I would assume in the game, no one has also been here. He's the guy that they're going to look for. But to be honest, I don't even know if they need all that.
Team Vision versus Team Yandex. Game 3.
They might not need it in the game, but they're definitely going to need it in the draft because a lot is going to come down to what these teams can get their hands on. We've already spoken about how detrimental it felt putting no one, quite a stable player on a hero like Puck that hasn't been performing. How Saxa was able to get his hands on a bounty hunter that has almost been overperforming on the main stage. And so now you wonder, how do you correct and ensure that you're not over adjusting? It is going to be Yandex with the back-to-back first picks for themselves. That's the game that they were able to win. And so we look to see if there will be any changes when it comes to these bans. Right now there isn't. An Io and a Treant taken out. And for the side of Yandex, it's still going to be that Lone Druid and Darkseer. And I wonder, it's going to be that change up, and Earth Spirit is going to be left in the pool, and instead it's Coddle that's taken out this time around.
I think for Vision, it's just a matter of responding to the problem that whatever Yandex will throw at them will be. Because in that game too, we saw the Furion, we saw the Slardar. That's heroes that have heavy physical damage and intend to burst, intend to do a lot of damage. Yandex responded with a Tidehunter. They said, we're giving you an unkillable hero for your lineup that wants to kill. What are you going to do about it? And essentially, they just choose to not reply to the Tidehunter. And it didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, Tidehunter is one of those heroes that if you don't have an answer for it, he just absolutely takes over your map. And he will just sit on any lane that he chooses and just make your map super small. And it's really problematic to play Dota against heroes that are unkillable very early on into the game.
This is I think this Coddle ban is super interesting because my read on it is that they thought Vision was going to ban Bounty Hunter this game. And so they want to leave the Earth Spirit open for themselves because Bounty Hunter's gone. And so we need that extra hero that we want to pick. So instead of banning it, we're going to have it open. But that's not the case because they don't pick it. So then I'm like, okay, why? Because I feel like Nature's Prophet is better against Coddle than it is against Earth Spirit. Earth Spirit rolls on you, he presses Magnetize, he closes that gap, and he's really good at ganking. So to me, to not ban it and then pick a hero that is vulnerable against it versus a player no one who is very comfortable on it is a strange offering of a trade.
My only guess would be is that they have some hero up their sleeve that they just want to counterpick Earth Spirit mid with, like some old school CJ counter. Because I agree with you. I think between Coddle and Earth Spirit has been more problematic this tournament, and no one is one of the best Earth Spirits here. So I don't know what that counterpick will be. Like typically for CJ, it has been Slardar, but we haven't seen it come out so much. Could there be something else up his sleeve?
I think it might be as simple as like they don't know how to deal with the Coddle, and Coddle kind of messes with the way that they want to play Dota. It stacks a lot of camps. It doesn't let them play through their lanes. They kind of maybe want a 9 class on a hero that plays the lane more, or they feel like Coddle open up too many potential pairings down the line. Like there's the Ember Coddles, there's Pango we saw. There's stuff that you can pair together with Coddle that are problematic and you don't know how to deal with it. But this forces the early mid lane pick. This guarantees that CJ gets to counter pick it with something that they know, like at least they've seen it before, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the Coddle, they don't have a set answer for.
Yeah, that is fair. And there's stuff like Ember Spirit, there's Slardar, there are heroes that CJ plays that are sort of classical counters to Earth Spirit they could go for. There's also an option to put Nature's Prophet on 4. Saksa is very, very skillful on this hero, so it's an option if they feel like there's a carry pick laid out on the line as well. It's not full committed to carry on Nature's Prophet.
And just to follow up on the Earth Spirit, Team Vision haven't lost a single game on it. So I kind of doubt this a lot.
I mean, they also, on the side of Yandex, have not lost with the Nature's Prophet on Saksa. So what's going to win out? They're not even comparable, but what's going to win out?
It is ultimately like, that's how the tournament goes, right? You're going to have to play against something that just doesn't lose, but you're going to prove that we are better, we're going to beat it. Like, I'm not sure how many games 9 classes lost on Coddle either, so that's just the nature of the game, I think, when you reach this end point and you have to play up against the best team in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty much never that both teams will have the exact same ideas, and what Dota eventually comes down to is who's right and who's wrong. And if you're picking this, you're making this trade, you're saying, I think we have an understanding edge on you and we're going to exploit that and you're going to pay for it because we understand this hero in a way that you don't. That's so much of this. Every hero, you need to understand the matchup knowledge, and if there's a slight deviation there, you get a little bit of space, you get a slight advantage, and you can continue to build on that, take a gold lead from it in the game and snowball.
It's interesting to me that they banned out the Slardar. We mentioned it as a potential hero to lane up against the Earth Spirit in the mid lane. This makes me think they're more leaning towards a potential Ember coming out. And I personally saw this matchup once this tournament. I didn't think it was super inspiring.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be because Earth Spirit's base damage is just so extreme. And if he has 2 points in kick and 2 points in pull, he can just insta-break your shield at level 4, which is something that not a lot of other heroes can do. So it's certainly not a lane that Ember does well in, but the synergy with Mirana and Nature's Prophet is very nice because you get in there, you have chains to allow them to hit and also to line the arrows. So like there's validity to it, but it's nothing crazy.
The issue with Ember, if it comes out now, is there's still Largo that we haven't really seen be a factor in this series, but it still can be, especially if Earth Spirit comes out. There's always the potential for the combination. And there's this Doom ban in the second phase by Team Vision, which tells me that they're building a heavy sustain lineup and they don't want that Doom counterpick that we've seen DM do many times this tournament.
Also find Enchantress to be quite a strong hero whenever Ember starts playing on this Flame Guard build. Ench likes to position himself in the face of enemy heroes on the map, and you can pretty much just follow Ember around and just press Purge on his Flame Guard, and he can never farm. So it is quite an interesting pick for Team Vision. It's not a hero I really see them play that much, but I think they have it in mind. They're building heroes that are able to respond to something that might come up in the future.
You're also stacking up a lot of early aggression and gank potential when you pick Earth Spirit and follow it up with Ench, but it's not in a way that's too redundant. Earth Spirit gives you teamfight and magic damage. Ench gives you a lot of early tempo and tower push, and these heroes combine very well together. If Ench walks to the lane with her creep, Earth Spirit rotates. Suddenly, not only do you get the kill with Earth Spirit's ganking ability, but you get the tower too with the creeps, and so they synergize in quite a nice way that I think is sort of underrated.
Also, if you think about how they teamfight, Ench deals very single target damage, whereas Earth Spirit's damage is very spread, which is a nice thing to have because Earth Spirit's going to roll in, you're going to catch some people, you're going to silence a bunch of people, and then you have these impetus raining in from the back line. So gives you ways to kill heroes.
Yeah, I think it's very solid from both teams. My biggest question still comes back to Nature's Prophet versus Earth Spirit. To me, that's the biggest discrepancy. This is the trade you chose. This is the way you start the draft. And it's very polarizing. Earth Spirit is absolutely good against Nature's Prophet, but it's not fully one-dimensional. And so I want to see how they change this matchup, because other heroes in the game in the draft can shift how a matchup would normally go, and I want to see what their answers are.
Wow, they take a double answer, Quinn, to this Nature's Prophet with Timbersaw. I would be very surprised if this ends up being the carry after having this Earth Spirit that you talked about. But now notice Timbersaw, it's enabled by Dark Willow on lane. It's just going to give so much damage versus this Undying as well that I don't think you want to be playing into this if you're Team Yandex.
Are you thinking about a potential like Undying off-lane angle? Because that's a DM special, right? He's done it in the past. I will say I quite like Undying into Earth Spirit. I remember thinking long time ago, whenever Earth Spirit rolls in, if you're not the target, you just press your ult, you hit him, you drop Tombstone, and especially nowadays where Earth Spirits don't really max the roll, it can be quite tricky to do the whole get in and out thing for Earth Spirit.
Yeah, it is true. You have to play more on the fringe, which is going to reduce your damage sum and mean you don't have people going in as much. And when you've got two backline supports, the fact that now you can't commit, maybe Timbersaw doesn't want to commit either. He gets cold snapped, arrowed, there's stuff for that. So it can become difficult to actually run into them, which means maybe the game is a little bit slower. Yandex has more time to get their cores online. Little interactions like this can change the duration of the game quite a bit, which allows Yandex to potentially scale with their two range cores.
I also think it's kind of interesting how both teams this time around are a lot more focused on like making sure they solidify their team fight. They go for the Invoker. Invoker and Undying are quite nice heroes together because you get Tombstone Vision. It allows Invoker to press buttons on the right heroes. Invo has a lot of crowd control that allows them to keep people inside a Tombstone range. So it's a nice way to play team fights out for them.
Also, this shot, by the way, we're seeing like the Tundra win that Suxa had back in 2022. It's crazy to see that he's the only one from that lineup that's still playing competitively that hasn't won a second TI, and he could do it this year, which would be right off the back of Skeeter and Snay doing it, which was right off the back of 33 doing it. Like,
That's
it's pretty
cool.
wild to think about, right?
The script says Saxa has to win.
He has to win it.
Yeah.
What's going to be stronger, Puppy getting first place at his next TI, or Suxa winning right after his other teammates did?
That's a good point.
Are you guys concerned at all about Invoker, though, in this game? Because I feel like we've seen Invoker versus Earth Spirit a couple of times, and Earth Spirit tends to out-tempo him, especially if you add in heroes like Enchantress into the mix that we know are going to be rotating mid early on. They're going to be playing around it and trying to shut it down. The only counterplay coming out of Yandex is going to be this Undying rotating to the mid lane and maybe a potential counterplay with an arrow, which can always be good, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be the aggressors. They're just going to be reactive.
I think on paper, the Yandex trio is slightly weaker. But if you manage to time it right, you manage to catch Earth Spirit on the creep wave with the Tornado into an arrow, with Tombstone and Decays, you can definitely kill him. You also have the Nature's Prophet adding in damage from the other side of the map. So if they can find the tempo on the Earth Spirit and never really let him come online, there are a lot of angles there for them.
Yeah, I do think it is an Earth Spirit favored lane, and I think I agree on paper. Vision probably have the stronger 3v3, but at this point, I'm not willing to put my money against Saxa because this guy has been owning every single early game. They have come out ahead on lanes, in lanes we thought they had no chance. I can't remember the last game they weren't ahead in the early game. And so for me, I look at Yandex, yes, they might be a bit weaker, but I think whenever you're such a good laning team, you can pick weaker lanes and abuse your skill to give you better matchups in the game. And I think that may be something they're trying to do here, that yes, I agree, this is a weaker 3v3. They're accepting a weaker start to the game. Maybe they think they're so good at early game that it doesn't matter.
So interesting, they banned PL and Lifestealer, and on the other side they banned Centaur and Axe. Trying to see if there's any obvious heroes. Okay, they just go back for the Tide.
Is it one of those things that running it back in this situation does make sense, and especially added that extra little bit of comfort?
I generally like Tide against almost all the spirits because he's one of those heroes that just doesn't die to them, and he also gets a shard down the line, which is problematic for all of the spirits.
Yeah.
Once you get the anchor put on you, you're not moving around, and all the spirits rely heavily on mobility to play their game.
Yeah, it's very true. You're obviously against Timbersaw, which is not ideal. He cuts through you and makes you not unkillable like you were last game, but they needed a hero with the front lines, right? They've got two range cores elsewhere. They want setup. They want someone to help them around to land arrows. And so I think all those strength tanky heroes are going to tend to suffer versus Timbersaw. And so that's just how the draft goes sometimes. You have to have bad matchups on some heroes. Not all 5 heroes are going to have good matchups.
I would say within the range of strength heroes that play against Timber, Tide is in some ways one of the better ones, because the way Timber deals damage is he reduces your strength, but Tide purges the debuffs off of him. So for that reason, he's kind of tricky to kill, even though you have the Timber against him.
I understand the reasoning that both of you mentioned, but I do feel that it's still a little bit disrespectful towards the Timbersaw in this draft, because I think Timbersaw has the potential to do a lot this game, and we did see Notice in a position where he got an 8th pick Timbersaw, and lose, but he was playing against the Doom, so he was essentially erased from every fight. This time around, that's not the case. I think that when he gets a Blink Dagger, this Undying will be food. This Nature's Prophet, if the Earth Spirit rolls on him, will also be food. And Tidehunter can just be ignored. I mean, Enchantress won't die easily, Dark Willow has Shadow Realm, and now that this Tiny's come out for Satanic, it feels like you're not really worried about that either. Like, if you're a Tiny, you're not interacting with Tide much, he's not killing you, you're not killing him, you're killing the rest of his team. It doesn't inspire that much confidence in me personally.
You also get a Silver Edge Buyer, and I think that's the big thing. You have a way to eventually crack the Tidehunter. I would say, I really wish Crossfix Invoker was viable, because looking at this draft, I feel like old school Crossfix Invoker with a Spirit Vessel would absolutely demolish this game.
Yeah, it would. It's true. But I think it's just not good enough to go for. So he's going to be the typical Quas Exort one, farming, Sunstrikes. And I think because of that, I like what Vision have. I think both these past games have been defined by who has the ease of jumping in and just bursting people, of taking the fight to the other team. And if I look at Vision, I think it's much easier for them to do that. They've got a bunch of big, tanky, beefy boys who can run in first, and it's not that easy for Yandex to jump them. Whereas the inverse, if they see Nature's Prophet or an Invoker or Mirana, Tiny jumps them, they explode like that. And so if I'm Vision, I'm very happy with what I've got so far.
I agree with that. I mean, for the reasons that I mentioned at length, but I also just think No One Earth Spirit, probably the best in this tournament. He's 4-0 with it, and they bled it through.
I feel like I would agree with you guys if this wasn't so similar to the draft we saw yesterday from Nigma against Yandex, where, swap out the Tiny for Alk, and it kind of looks like a similar thing that they had going on. And Yandex proved that they could beat it yesterday, so I have hopes that they can do it today.
To be fair, do you feel that the Tiny could join the fights a little bit earlier, though, and so another tempo being pushed back by Vision could be that break, despite it being, in your eyes, almost a similar run back?
I mean, to be honest, I think the drafts are really even, and maybe even would give a slight edge to Vision. But Yandex has proven that they can beat this kind of lineup before, and I think that matters a lot more than you think.
All right, it does matter a lot, right? Especially the fact that we get the joy of a game number 3 here to decide who goes to the grand finals. The fact that our drafts are split 50-50. There's only one last thing to do. That's to get into it, to see who comes out on top. And to take us through that, it is OD Pixel and Fogged.
Thank you very much, Nat. Yes, game 3 time here between Yandex and Vision to find out who's going to be going on to the grand finals at the International this year. Fogged, we did see, game 2, some sort of breakdown in some of the ways that Team Vision were trying to bring fights together. Do you think they're going to be able to recover from that going into game 3, or is this an opportunity for Yandex to maybe strike whilst Team Vision has been weakened a little bit?
I think these two do look like that 50-50 probably in terms of the drafting, but there is this Earth Spirit this time, right? We did mention a lot about No One in this last game. Even though he kept up in farm, he was able to actually be ahead in farm in pretty much the entirety of the game in comparison to the Snap. The impact, it just wasn't there, right? The puck, we really did feel the problems for it. This time, he is playing that Earth Spirit, a super strong, if not one of the strongest mids in this tournament. So we'll see how they do whisk down that pressure. That being said, Yandex, a lot of team fight again. That's what I'm really liking that they did go for. Crazy amount of team fight and good global pressure. So I do want to see them again accelerating the pace of things, taking these early towers like they did last time, getting Watson off to that good start. Could be one of those cases where they can run over, but we'll see. Because I do like Vision's approach to this one. They might have less team fight in particular, but the Earth Spirit kind of can bring all the team fight just himself.
That's certainly true. And the last pick for Team Vision, deciding to go for the Tiny, for Satanic. I mean, I feel this is maybe sort of off the back of the vibes of game 2, where, it felt like during those last moments, Satanic felt like he needed to be the one to kind of go in and start the action, which, as a Nature's Prophet, doesn't feel great. He's like, well, if against Yandex, the carry, I need to be more in the front of the fight, starting the action, get me on something different. The Tiny, pretty much the perfect carry hero for that style of play.
We'll have to see whose early game is better, because in both games, even the first game, even though Yandex did lose that game, they were the ones setting tempo, right? So an important thing to look at in this game is how much tempo there will be. And I always have to say, eyes on Saksa. How much can he actually do? This time, he's not his broken bounty hunter that he has literally been untouched with. He's playing a Mirana, but in this game with the Mirana, can make some interesting rotations and connections. It's not the one that sounds the most obvious, but I know we saw it the other day. The Invoker plus that Mirana,
they were doing
get the combo.
Yeah.
The Tornado plus the Cold Snap into the Arrow. There's ways to shut down, go for these kills early on something like an Earth Spirit. So that's for what I'm looking at least in this early game coming out from Yandex to set that tempo.
And for the off lane of Team Vision, noticed on the Timbersaw.
One of his best.
And one of those heroes that not everybody's playing, but when it is picked in the right situation, it pops off. When you look at Yandex against the Timber, like how good of a Timber game is this? How many answers do Yandex have if the Timber gets out of control?
It can be pretty problematic. Yes, they have the Invoker, the control. He's got some dispels. They have the damage amplification from the Undying. But overall, looking at the Timber, he's going to be off to a good start in this game because of the lane matchup. He's playing versus a Nature's Prophet. He's playing versus an Undying. So he is set up for success in this game. So I would say it's eyes on noticed. He could potentially become out of control in this game.
This Yandex. Deep here with the smoke. Maybe see if they could catch out Satanic, but Satanic will be on the high ground, won't get caught out by this move. Does end up being the 3 bounty runes going here the way of Team Vision to start things.
And to mention with Noticed, right, he's going to have this strong support with him as well in the lane. They're actually making... like 9 class maybe just wanting to TP down here. This is the, I guess this is the lane that they're going to end up setting up with here. They're going to have the Willow paired up with the Tiny, and then the Enchantress paired up with that Timbersaw to just grab one of the Treants probably and get that extra bit of control, just beat on the Undying from a distance. Interesting that they do this one. Maybe just feeling that this one is just a bit better, because both feel pretty strong, to be honest. Either the Willow or the Enchantress down there. Maybe feeling that the Willow is going to have a better time versus that Mirana. Sunstrike, it gets kicked.
Oh, we
love it.
Seeing these Earth Spirits do this against the Invoker players.
So I think every game, no one has done this versus these Invokers. He boots it. I think the other game when he was playing a Largo, it was the same thing, right? You see that Sunstrike, you kick that range creep. You don't let him get that CS. And let's see how Chira Jr. does, right? Because last game, he did have a bit of a hiccup again, but ended up recovering nicely because he's playing a hero that can play from distance. Invoker can be a bit of a difficult one like the Lina, where if you do get caught, you're playing in the front lines at times. So I'm going to be watching Chira Jr.'s positioning a lot here, playing versus no one on the Earth Spirit. And yeah, talking about the Earth Spirit, right? No one. He went from probably one of the best hero. He went from probably one of the worst mids
to one of the
best. So
I think maybe the worst to the best in terms of heroes that are being consistently picked this international. Yeah, I think no doubt about that.
And the matchup in particular, right? The Earth Spirit versus the Invoker, but also versus that Nature's Prophet. This gap close, it's going to be very strong for no one. All stages of the game, really.
First few waves looking very nice here for no one.
Doxa, he's in trouble. Blood Grenade, he's going to try for the TP out. Is it enough? Oof.
He's going to live.
Oh, wow. Picture perfect there. They try to even use the Shadow Realm and threw it for just like the smallest amount of damage. They grabbed the tree and threw it too. They tried everything to bring him down. Heads up TP. I thought he was dead for sure there.
And this lane as well. How long does make a go here with the Avalanche onto DM? Or try and tell him the Gush, but the Shadow Realm's back up. DM, he's going down. That's going to be first blood for Satanic. Sticking around.
Another one, maybe.
The Brambles catching him. The right click, not enough to kill him. But still left so low on this bottom lane. That's going to mean that Satanic's going to have a lot of space to farm very peacefully.
And absolutely seeing the reasoning for that swap, right? I'm watching Ducala's top. Every time Watson spawns his Treants, he just takes one over, while bottom, this effective trading from the Willow is so good versus something like Mirana, and even Tide. You have this high burst damage for him early, unlike an Enchantress would. Liking this approach, actually, this little lane that they did end up going for, this little switch up, even though it's... I rarely see Ducalis get put in this 4-position. Very cool answer here. Mira.
Super low, does have that final tango and a Fairy Fire.
Gotta be careful how far he steps up. Overall, not the easiest to get the Sunstrikes in this game on these side lanes either. Nobody's going to be really low for them. The Tiny shouldn't get pressured. Neither should the Timbersaw in particular. Maybe Noticed can if they get a couple decays built onto it. But overall, this is a hard game to see Chira get set up on these Sunstrikes on these side lanes.
No one. And Chira Jr., he did sort of, you could tell he knows the limits. He was trying to bait no one in because he is ready to turn with these sort of like Cold Snap Forge Spirit plays.
Yeah, if you can get the Cold Snap Ice Wall Forge Spirit, you know that this Earth Spirit doesn't have roll, so you can get him stuck inside of it, but a lot of damage coming in from no one. Satanic, though, full HP, a lane where he's not going to feel any pressure, playing versus this Tide Under, playing versus this Mirana. Has the stick charges, always has mana to threaten as well. Doxa, careful how much you want to trade with this Willow. They're going to pop the glyph mid lane. Chira.
They're ready for the dive. Ducalis coming in with a wraparound. Chira Jr. in a whole load of trouble. Blood grenades down on him. He's going to get taken out by the Alpha Wolf.
Ooh, actually crits. A lot of damage coming in from it there with the Rabble Rouser too.
Same time, bottom lane,
Saksa.
Saksa, he walks back into the brambles.
9 class will survive. Denied from Saksa.
Yeah, able to get over to the neutrals in time.
Now at this point though, you can see the movements. Ducalis is like, all right, my Timbersaw is going to be chilling in the top lane. We can just go 2 points in reactive armor, and it's difficult for them to bully him. Ducalis is going to be pressuring these lanes very hard. So another reason that they probably did this lane setup is that he has easier angles to sandwich onto the mid lane, as we see there. Malady, let's see what he wants to do with these movements as well, too. Since the lane is broken top, he can leave the NP alone for now.
Coming back over to the mid. Kira Jr. does have this ward down, so decent information. We'll know when Ducalis is trying these plays.
Might still try for the dive. No one is about to be level 6 with the Magnetize. They're pushing him off of the tower here. See where 9 class wants to go. He's going to join bottom, help out Satanic, bring his items, get him back up to full HP.
Can Yandex bring anyone in towards this mid to help out, or is that just not a move they want to do? They just want to sort of leave Kira Jr. to fend for himself.
They don't really have the best heroes to deal with this enchant. Oh, Malady gets hit by